Welcome to Smart House, a Pittsburgh podcast about smart technologies, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and the future. Today, my guest is Tyler Wittmeyer. Tyler, thank you so much for coming today.
You said my name right.
I should, because I'm
You
your friend.
did. People mess it up more than... I don't think you're... It
You know,
happens to me all the time.
I thought I was going to mess up the entire intro because the whole time I'm going, Wittmeyer.
So I used to do that at the Improv. I used to announce the comedians. And people like Ray Zawadny could definitely testify that I have butchered some people's intros.
The word I'm not gonna lie. There was a small part of me of not doing comedy anymore because I know this is not say what we're gonna talk about, but because I would like fill in for some people doing open mics. So I would they'd be like, "Hey Dustin, I can't do it this week. Can I do an open mic?" And just my anxiety of like trying to name 40 people, I'm at Ham
cool
Bones,
on that.
and I'm like trying to go 40 people's names. It's like, let's hear it up for Ron.
It's ridiculous. Even when I plan the comedy shows, remembering people's names, it's difficult.
Okay, imagine doing that, and then you got to do like 3 minutes of jokes in between.
I never did any of the funny. The Improv was nice because I could do music, and then I would say, "Oh, they host this podcast," or "You've seen them on Comedy Central. You've seen them on."
Yeah, you got a script.
Hey, America's funniest comedian, and then toss, and then people be like, "Dude, that was weak."
Well, at least it sounds like you're trying. I will be honest. When I was at the Improv, they would have a couple different DJs, and when they had a bad DJ, it was a bad night. Didn't matter how good the comedians were, because it's all about that transition, and you got to make it work.
They all use the sound person to crutch themselves to their
100%.
first joke, though. It is the same
God.
comedians. The same comedians always insult me. You know who you are out there. Y'all always make fun of me, and Bridget even says, she's like, "You're always the first joke," and I'm like, "Always. It could be perfect," and they're like, "Yeah, damn sound guy is playing me that weak ass song coming up," and I'm like, "You chose the song."
Yeah, they also
they always throw you under the bus.
Well, I think that's also a funny thing to do is to set you up where they give you a bad song on purpose. Like, I don't know why that guy chose that bullshit, and they can rip on you, and then meanwhile they gave you the song.
There's a famous comedian that notoriously, who is in the news right now, I won't name him so I don't get in trouble, but he would tell me what to do, and then no matter what, it was never good enough, and he'd come back at the end of the show, and he'd be like, "Dude, you threw me off there at the beginning," and I was like, "Come on, bro." Come on.
Sometimes I think people like this, and they're really playing with you the whole time. Anyways, let's try to get a little bit of tech. I know we went a little sidetrack there with some comedy, but it's production. Well, sound production, into tech. We wanted to really off the top. We wanted to talk about Dropbox. That's the first thing you said you wanted to talk about Dropbox. Go ahead.
You can't use it anymore, right? I think it's outdated. We've talked about this at our co-op a few times. People stick up for it, and you should use Google Drive. I mean, everyone uses it. Not everyone has an iPhone. I think that people can have different types of phones, but I think Google Drive is one thing we can all agree on.
I think Google Drive was the thing. Google was just the biggest behemoth, and they just forced, because to tell me that Google Drive was great even a year ago. Even a year ago, it was completely different. It was bugging me because I was on the opposite side. I was a Dropbox guy.
Really?
And then when you guys started switching over, I was like, no, I hate this, because there was this thing where if I sent a client a Google Drive link, this was like a year or two ago, it was very difficult if you weren't paying attention to send an open link. And they would always come back like, "I need a Gmail for this," or "I need to log in for this."
The permissions are always the issue with that.
Now they've gotten better, and that's why I remember liking Dropbox. It was like a link's a link.
Now, I will agree with you on that, but the craziest part, someone sent me a Dropbox link recently, and I hadn't had an account in so long. I had to remake all this stuff. And I was like, that's the problem. Google literally made it that it's just if you had a Gmail, you got it. Yeah. So it was just an easy transition.
Yeah, and I think they probably lost their market, and now they're thinking, oh, now we get these people back. So now when they log in, we got to hook them in. I'm getting emails and stuff. I closed all my Dropboxes pretty much.
I think I have one still.
So you're right. So
two.
Anyone out there, if you're sending Dropbox link, you got to stop because you're making someone upset.
You're also probably overpaying for storage because it's $2.99 for a terabyte on Google.
There you go. They are starting to charge more on Google, by the way.
Yeah,
for a while there it was free.
It's because they're freaking data centers, man, and taking up all the water. I read that article.
They're putting their data centers everywhere. They're putting them in the oceans. They're probably on the other side of the moon.
They use 2 some million gallons of water each day. a data, just a random data.
Wait,
set.
they use?
No, I don't know if Google. Don't quote
What do
me
you
on
mean
it.
they use the water?
Like between, I guess the workers. I haven't read a whole
cool,
article.
The
Don't,
cool down, the thing you mean?
I don't know. It literally said like this one. It was an article I was reading. I'm halfway through it. I've read it on the way here, and I was saying they use over two. It was like 2.5 million.
Don't
gallons.
bring your intelligence down. I don't want to hear your excuses.
Hey, I don't know. I don't know, but I would imagine the workers, yes, cooling, and I'd probably just
Real quick
Switch.
detour. Who is the young guy from College Humor that had his own show for a while? It might still be on. He had a lot of hair. It's like a info show.
info show.
Oh man, if you don't know, it's gonna make this awful.
No, I
he
don't.
was on Rogan once, and he was like one of the worst guests.
Everyone's been
and he was. I know, but it was a particular one because all he did was apologize and say he wasn't sure of like his stats. I'll remember later.
I'll always apologize because I'm never sure of anything.
Yeah, that's what the whole interview was like that. The whole interview was like him like being not sure. Man, but his job now, he's on TBS with a show, and it's like not like Mythbusters.
Oh,
Do you know what I'm talking about? He's
yeah.
big. He almost has like not Johnny Knoxville. Like
Johnny Knoxville.
Johnny Bravo hair. He has Johnny Bravo hair.
I used to love that cartoon.
Do you know Johnny Bravo?
Yes, I know Johnny Bravo.
Look at him.
It was literally Elvis. With long
Yeah,
hair.
it was
Ridiculous.
awesome.
He was also definitely a sexual harassment.
I knew you were
case
going to
away.
dive into that, you fucking
But
progressive pussy.
we'll
See,
go.
you got me swearing. See, this is where you're taking me. You're ripping on Johnny Bravo. That crossed the line.
Johnny
with
Bravo's
me.
not. He's not around anymore.
They were kind of itching him back. He was a little womanizer.
I
Bit of a womanizer. That's what all those cartoons were womanizing.
I'm dressed like Courage the Cowardly Dog, so I would say.
I like how. Oh my God, that is. Oh my God, you are like the Cowardly Dog. You the same color.
The same color. I am Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Okay, now I'm thinking of a podcast that we could do that somehow we get someone better than me, and it's Johnny Bravo, and like that's the. I just want to do that. Thank you very much.
I never knew my whole life though I'd end up built like Johnny Bravo, like big chest, little legs, running like with my chest ahead of me, but everything else curved.
I thought that show was so funny, and
I told you this wasn't going to be about smart tech.
Oh, see, this is what happens. I forget why I even went to that loop, and now I'm trying. You know how I'm going to bring us back? You had some
TBS
cool beats.
show.
You were going to have some beats.
Oh
though.
yeah, here's
So we're
so
gonna play
the
these
guy's
beats.
name is Samaj Rega, which his producer. That's his producer name. His real name is James, and
James.
Samaj is James spelled backwards.
All right, hit it. Oh my goodness.
Hold on. I put my phone on airplane mode. I don't.
Well,
I don't want it to.
It's fine. You're blowing my mind with the his name spelled backwards.
Yeah. How smart is that?
Yeah,
Oh wait, no, that wasn't the beat you like.
Is it
You wanna-
Smahass? I like the actual like digital sound it gets going through our mic.
Yeah, it's because I have my speaker very close.
All right, I'm gonna try to turn it up. So.
But-
oh,
If you need beats, hit up Samaj Rega. Oh,
yeah.
Don't want to get it too close.
Nope. I'll turn
But
it-
yeah,
I'll
I
turn it
always
back
use
down.
local music on anything I work on. That's kind of like my one thing I try.
Well, let's see. Maybe I can switch some song. I like the song I have, but I think I just pulled that off of Artlist.
I use
Not-
Artlist
not,
too, though.
Not a sponsor, but you know that would be awesome. We do pay you guys for all the music I do.
Yeah,
like
their
your
website,
software.
them and Motion Array are amazing.
Oh yeah, they're my favorite. And I
It's my
used to.
favorite.
I've gone through so many over the years, and they are by far my favorite. So we're gonna get into some more smart
Let's get into some
stuff,
tech.
smart ass stuff.
Smart
so I
ass.
think was it on the way here or at some point this week? You say you were driving, or you weren't driving. You took a bus, which you believe was like a smart bus.
I on my way here because I'm
That's cool.
that cheap because I don't like to pay parking
We're
in the city of
It's
Pittsburgh.
cool.
But this bus had USB chargers on it at each seat and had a monitor that it literally said where you were to the next stop and like time, date, everything. It was like an airport.
It's like the airport.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Was there anything smart about the driver? Did he have any type of setup? Or
No,
any
but it
type of
did seem like I
GPS?
said to Bridget, it seemed like it drives smoother. So they probably fixed the suspension.
So like
too.
it might have been like it might be a whole new vehicle. You think?
No, because it was still the same on the outside. I didn't
Okay.
when I got in, it was like a different world when you got on it. That was I think that caught me off guard.
That's cool. But I do feel like, you know, they're just, that's a little bit of, what's that called, mission creep or whatever. Eventually that guy in the front's gone, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's crazy. I knew some guy who drove the T, and I was like, what do you do? Like, do you actually do anything? And they just sit there and monitor it. That's all they do.
I mean,
It's literally
you
like
kind of hit it.
you like hit it. You can like adjust the speed, but like they're there so we all make it there safe.
This is the same thing where right now, if you're on a Tesla, you have to have someone in the driver's seat.
Yes.
But it could, if you're on the highway or I don't know, I don't have a Tesla.
No.
But it's basically automatic. Do you know how much, like I'm assuming if you're like in town, you can't just turn on the autopilot. You got to be on a highway. Do you know how
I don't
that
know.
works?
I've only heard about people using it in the parking instance. Like
Oh.
supposedly if it maps your parking garage, you can like tell your Tesla to come to you like a valet.
See, I think this is how it's supposed to work. I'm sure people are abusing it. I believe is like if you get onto the highway, it's kind of like cruise control, but you don't touch the steering wheel anymore.
Yeah, I know.
And then
yeah.
it's smart enough to go lanes, but you can
Like,
even say like you don't want to be behind someone. You can just click your right turn signal, and then it will change lanes for you. It does that.
I'm sketched out by it.
But I have seen people. I mean, I think someone died recently, and these are people like.
We should ask our friend who has a Tesla.
Oh yeah, Josh. Well, I want Josh to come on. Josh, if you're watching this, I don't think anyone watches this long. We've been on for 12 minutes. That's not
I
too
haven't.
bad.
Hold on. Let me share it.
Yeah, there
Hold
you
on.
go.
Hold on, everyone. I got this sticker, y'all, at Black Forge. Shout out to Black Forge Coffee House. It just says "Stay weird."
Oh, do I have a Black Forge on here? I don't remember.
Their coffee's amazing.
No, I don't have Black Forge. I have an old comedy festival, a shirt, Commonwealth shirt, and I got the Iron City.
Iron City.
Got iron.
I tried to get a good photo of it. I couldn't get the I in it, but it said Ron City Beer, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. I'm about to make a Ron Swanson sticker with Ron City Beer, and then I couldn't get a good photo of it.
Okay, I'm gonna blow your mind. Ron Swanson, could he be like old Johnny Bravo or different? He's got some. He's got the hair.
Johnny Bravo.
Are we back to
Swanson.
Johnny Bravo? I'm
No.
sorry.
Get back to the tech. Get back to the tech. Let's talk. Let's make ourselves sound smarter than we actually
No,
are.
okay. No, I find that's cool what you talk about. Like you drive the T, and now I kind of want to ask this
He
guy.
retired, though. Moral of the story. Though.
Okay, he retired. Now
He retired early, so he was like 60 instead of 65.
Is there anyone replacing his job? I feel like that's a job. It's like okay, we don't need people here.
No,
anymore.
but weirdly enough, him and every other person I've ever met that's retired from something like that, they all go work up at what's the thing called? The Incline, because that's like volunteer.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
See, I think they got the system already.
But you need
figured
like
out.
an actual engineer type person to operate that, because
They're gonna start funneling all these people out, and it's all gonna be robots.
have you
the
ever
entire city?
Have you ever rode the T?
Yes. Yeah, I used to live in Mount Washington.
Really?
Mhm.
I rode it for the first time
An experience.
3 months ago.
Was it just?
I've lived
did
here
you
my
do it-
entire life, y'all. Never rode that thing.
Yeah, but did you do it because it was convenient, or because you're like, I want to ride the T?
No, I literally did it with a microphone. My utility sound career brought me to it.
Oh, it was a job.
It was a gig. We filmed going up and down.
When was this? Because I've seen a video recently of like someone playing
Randall
music.
Coleman, Red Vision.
Okay, I watched this.
Yeah, he's cool people. We actually did a tour. Shout outs to the Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation. Make sure I don't butcher that. They couldn't do tours because of COVID. So we filmed every single historical tour. I learned so much about this city. I also learned how to smoothly not mess up my gigs anymore.
Wait. How is that intertwined? How'd you do that?
I made some mistakes like on the early ones just because they were so quick and like they were like historical. We went on the tours, so like you couldn't miss stuff, right? Like the trolley ride was like us riding around in that one trolley that rides around the city, and like if you miss something, you missed it.
Yeah, that's
so like going.
Can't hit rewind or
No,
anything
and,
like
we
that.
did a second one because it was such a short tour. Thank God, but seriously, like it was just nerve wracking and like miking people who aren't used to being mic'd and like going out in the field and like grabbing people. It was a lot. We did it over like 2 seasons too. We did it like in the cold and winter, and then we finished here like probably like a month or two ago, and it was like 90 degrees the one day. So like it was like the whole run of the game. I hadn't had something like that since COVID, like something that I actually like worked on for an extended period of time, and like mixing it too, like going back and actually like organizing the files, and it was.
I was just thinking about
bumpy
that
road.
yesterday, and I do. Well, it's kind of weird when it's spread out, but I miss like getting into a project that's so big that that's all you do and it's all you think about. And it because
Said no one ever. Why would you ever want that?
I guess I'm picturing
I hate that.
like a short film or
I've
something
never done
like that.
Something like that.
Because if you're producing or even just editing, I mean, you have to spend it just takes so long. But if you're organized and you've done it a couple times, you do get this momentum it's like relieving because it's like you wake up the next day. What am I gonna do? I know I'm gonna edit this thing because I have nothing else to do. I have to do this thing, and
I
there's
feel that way about podcasts.
yeah, it's a lot different than waking up and going, oh man, I got 3 meetings. I got to do a podcast with Tyler, and then I got to do social media the next day, and then I got to edit
I
that
hate
project.
that stuff. That's like the stuff I hate the most. Is
Social media.
social, like promotions,
I
all
know.
that stuff. I hate it.
We're kind of gonna talk about that a little bit later. I mean,
It's
we've been
okay.
going a little long, so that's okay. I'm gonna
There's
jump
no
in.
limit.
There is right. There's no limit, but I try to understand that, like, maybe someone's watching this, and at some point they want to click away. But like the whole thing we've been talking about, really, I feel like is robots are taking over our jobs. They're gonna take our jobs.
That's South Park episode.
But like even before you were coming in, you were talking about production, and we were talking about a sound recorder that basically doesn't matter how loud you are.
32 floating bit, man.
Yeah, doesn't matter how you can throw firecrackers at this thing.
I saw it in the field too, and I as a person who's like I was just like I'm adjusting this microphone because I love when sound gets better. Like I'm always constantly touching it. And I probably mess with my mixer and my levels too much, but yeah, I was on a gig and I'm like sitting here and he's like, "Yeah, dude, don't worry about it." What? Dude, don't worry about it. And I was like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "It get hit like it get hit positive, whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'll just mix it out in post." And I was like, "Oh, like with like." I used to. He's like, "No, just turn it down." I was like, "Oh." I was like,
I just turned.
I was like, "Is it really not gonna distort?" And like, he said, "No." I was like, "Okay." And then he sent me a clip today, and it was fine.
Yeah.
I was like,
so
it's easier to
there
mix.
goes
Yeah.
your job.
So well, no. So now there goes my mixer because 24-bit is now seemingly outdated. But I will say, and it's a podcaster's like dream because I do a lot of recording with a lot of different people, and like me and you both know how to keep our levels kind of the same. We're talking at the same volume, as you've noticed.
Right.
But like most people who don't do podcasts anymore, they'll be like, and then they'll like come back here, and then they'll be talking like this for a little bit, and then they'll come up super loud to the mic, and like that's what the podcast is for an hour, and that's like a mixer like that like saves you. Like you can that's how you can set record and walk out of the room.
But I feel that's also some software, some algorithms that's gonna get that.
Yeah, I mean, like it's like when I put a limiter on mine, like it kind of takes away something.
Right.
It takes away some stuff that you wouldn't get on a raw recording.
No, I do that. It's tough where it's like, but I guess I forget.
I did a podcast on Monday where this guy literally, I told him, I was like, I need you to talk into the mic. It's a Shure SM7B. They're extremely quiet. These are directional mics. These are a little bit more loud. But this SM7B, they're a little softer. You got to get up on that. Yeah, he's out.
Is this good levels for you?
He's out here like this, man. He's got the mic out here, and he's at our chair at our co-op that squeaks a lot, as you know the chair.
That's why we do this here.
Yeah, and my boy is literally. I was like, dude, he either had too much caffeine or something. He's just literally, and all you keep hearing, because I had to turn his level up because he's talking from over here, and the host is looking at me. He's like, basically like, you gonna say something to him or am I? And then eventually I was like, all right, time out. We gotta stop this story. I was like, I need you to get up on the mic. And I was like, we're also gonna switch your chair.
Oh, man,
and I made him switch to a folded chair.
I've been in like, you're just bringing my anxiety
Yeah.
of all these times I used to think of like, you get all set up, you think everyone's right, and you got the mic into the person, and then the client comes in, and he's just kind of like this, and he's like, all right, so... and he was talking real light before, so he's also like, no, you gotta grab the mic. Horror stories.
I do mic checks with people, and they'll literally give me a mic check and then speak at least +5 decibels higher when they start talking into the mic. They scream like no one can hear them. Like, who do they think can't hear them? I have headphones on. I hear you. And yeah, they just don't believe it. It's fine.
It's just sorry. It's on this end. I know it sounds like we're complaining. It's just difficult.
I said production could be. This is what our committee meetings turn into.
I know. I used to. Real quick side story. I used to do depositions, so I had headphones on all the time, and I would law the attorneys. And if they would ever get in an argument, I'm generally not ready because I'm having cheaper equipment. And I think I had tinnitus for 3 years once because it was a regular conversation, and something set this attorney off, and he just started screaming, and I remember just like having to
They don't get
that.
Ooh, nice.
Like,
he caught the headphones, y'all.
Yeah. So,
Cushiony.
real quick, so we're going to talk about some cool tech.
Moral of the story, though, yeah.
Better at stuff.
Look
Here's
into
an
32-bit.
awesome picture we're going to show of a friend of ours, Chris Bell, and this is a picture of his Instagram of his services.
He's so good, dude.
Maybe I should just show the whole thing so we could see here.
I bought a boom pole off of him like last year.
Here we go. Fade. So the reason I brought this up because his whole setup there is on the left, and I think the other gear is just the video gear and stuff. But I think it's funny because I think it looks like a person. Like it's literally like the top there's like a head and there's a body, and I'm saying at one point like Chris is not going to have to show up, right?
Well, so weirdly enough though, I've done this with like lighting too. I mean, I was on a set once. I was blown away once on Mindhunter, I think it was. No, $1, the CBS show that got canceled. They had those lights that Bluetooth like to somebody, and he was in, I think, down the road or something, or he was in like his own little room in 31st Street Studios, and he ran the lights, but they were all like Bluetooth. It was crazy. Like
How far away was he?
He just
same studio.
He was adjusting the set, and I saw like a room like down the hall. It was down the hall, sorry. And yeah, it was all Bluetooth. I was like, what the? I was like, so he doesn't even have to be on set. And it was because they built like literally a town in 31st Street Studios. So like you couldn't. There was no room for him there. So
it's so interesting.
Yeah.
That's
so yes,
really cool. So
Chris
real quick,
could do that.
Shout out to Chris Bell, by the
Shout
way,
out.
and his awesome setup and all his stuff.
That cart
does.
makes my cart look not great. And you've seen my cart. I'm pretty great.
The cart's a person. It's its own person. It's like iRobot walking around recording your sound.
Those antennas are clutch too, by the way.
I know. That's what makes it look alien.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying to picture how Hollywood goes about making stuff now, where I feel like it used to be, kind of how it works with unions and stuff. Like, you have to have certain people hired. Like, you don't have a choice. Like, if you hire a sound guy, that guy has to come with like an assistant. Like, I don't know all the rules, so I'm like probably butchering it to a point. But then you have someone like Chris Bell, who seems like years from really just being his entire sound department. I'm sure it's what he does now, and you're getting to that point too, where it might be just the audio guy in his bedroom.
Audio person.
I'm sorry.
Audio person, Dustin.
Audio person. And you know what? By the way, when I grew up, guys were just people.
No, I say it all the time. I say it all the time. But I've been reading this book, and Teresa, the lady who wrote it, is like the best. And she's like, it's always funny that people say sound guy, and she's like, she's like, I've done everything from like Walking Dead. She's everything. But
yes, I just picture, he's just like basically George Jetson, where it's if you press two buttons to make sure, and you kind of monitor and. But that's how it's gonna be.
I need to set up my Bluetooth. I can like run my mixer off to like an iPad, and I want to do that because that's clutch. Even our Behringer at Work Hard, we can do that, just so you can mix away from the device.
So I'm gonna get off a little bit off subject, but still on the smart side. So like we've been talking about all these things. Basically, I said how people are losing their jobs. I had another story about appraisers because there's algorithms and software gonna take that over.
Take it over.
So all these things are happening, and maybe it won't affect us because I think we're in a professional career. Hopefully that we'll have income and figure this out. But are people going to have jobs in the future? What do you think is going to happen, Tyler? Do you think about this stuff at all?
I think there's still like a planning and I don't know. There's an aesthetic to stuff that I don't think that anything will replace that. At least I watch a lot of television, so I'd say
replace what?
Like I don't. I've just been on so many sets and stuff that I think the creativeness of people. I don't think you'll ever replace that.
As designers,
that's what I mean. Like that.
Designers have jobs. I think.
Like there's even like to the aesthetic of like how it's shot, like the style of lighting, or if you're like putting on grids on the lights, or if you're like adding snow on the lights, or like the gel.
Yes.
Or even like the type of like look you want. If you want it to be like 80s, like Stranger Things, or like something. I don't know. I think that yes, I think the gear, there will definitely be less people on set, though.
Right.
Definitely less people on set.
And I know we're talking as from a production standpoint, but even in other industries in the world, where I feel like a lot of people are going to be more designers, maybe developers, project managers, because it's a lot of these smaller jobs where it used to take 4 or 5 people. We got that device. It's here.
Everyone's going to be an operator.
Everyone's some kind of operator.
Yeah, like it's like how we were talking about the T. People who literally operate the T.
Yep.
People will operate, camera operators. That it would just be like at WPXI, we had a system that, I said the news station, sorry.
It's all right.
But I worked there, it's fine. I'm not going to talk bad. And they had a system that you ran all 3 cameras at one time. So like I could send it this way, and it was like a robotic. And that was how it went from 3 camera ops to 1.
Yeah. Actually, a startup company that I worked at, we had a studio, and we actually implemented it. We built in 3 cameras so I could run. Now, it was so DIY because I had like really cheap just controllers, and I'm like running them like this.
It was
almost
so
like
hard
cars.
to
It was
learn.
very difficult, and of course, it was so just we just made it up. But obviously, the technology is getting
And
better.
people always wanted like push-ins, and like there's like the whole
I
like
know.
movements of like shots that you can do with those. It's just you're banking on that
I
that
know,
system.
and
So that's crazy enough. Back to that though, we would have to every day you would come in, you had to like balance in. Almost like what's the word I'm looking for?
No, balance is probably right.
Like you had to calibrate
Yeah,
the
calibrate.
camera
Yeah,
every
yeah.
day, every shift, because basically like if they were off and you sent them like if I wanted to push forward, it would like fade a little bit to the left,
Yeah.
or like fade a little bit to right, or like if you did a push in, the zoom in would go like a little bit to the right.
That's really funny.
And like if you did it, and you'd be like, oh my god, I didn't calibrate the cameras.
Oh, it's like not white balancing. It's like
I just did that on a gig too myself.
not white balance.
I did
don't feel
auto
as
white
bad.
balance. I did auto
Yeah.
white balance.
Were you shooting? I guess you probably weren't shooting in RAW, so sorry for that.
I was shooting in raw.
Oh, then you might be able to get
I
it
know,
then.
I fixed it, but
Oh.
I just literally looked at my footage, and I was like, "Oh, Tyler, like you could have just held a piece of white paper up and did that. Why
I
did
know,
you?"
but you know how it is. You get there, there's 1,000 things.
Yeah,
This is another jump. Okay, so we're talking about gigs and stuff, and I've actually been thinking about this lately, where there's a kind of different being a professional on set and being good at your job, are like almost 2 different things. Like you could
Yes.
show up
Yes.
with like the gear and and have everything hooked up and you capture everything correctly, but you're like a horde of wires. You know,
This is me until, like,
you have a
last
winter
year.
jacket from 3 years ago.
me from last year.
You
I
know?
still wear the same parka on set every day.
No gaff tape in your bag.
Just started buying gaff tape. Just started buying it. That is me. And I think you have to make those mistakes because literally, I learned the best on
You kind
those
of have to
sets.
because you got to make money, and so I'm starting to catch. This is how the algorithm is getting me for, especially on Facebook, but Instagram and stuff, where not only now am I looking to buy like stuff that actually works well and it can for long periods of time, but looks cool. Like I'm seeing these
I
like
know.
tight
That
like
looks cool.
HDMI coils where like you hook your monitor to your camera correctly, and like they coil nicely so they don't lay weird. And but they're like
I've started
bright
just
blue.
Velcroing everything.
And but now if you plan out your day, you can kind of like get some blue HDMI
see if I
cables,
have a photo.
wear blue shoes, you know. And so all of a sudden, if you show up and you're kind of like dripping, like you kind of got a fashion thing, you come off more professional.
If you
and
walk
the
in on a
clients
set
like
with
you.
all that Columbia on, everyone's like, "Oh wow, look at this
Yeah,
person!
right.
This person is killing it. They've made short films before."
That sound guy has a $300 Colombian jacket.
I will never forget the first gig I ever
sound
worked.
guy again.
This first gig I ever worked, that was the first thing I ever purchased was a Columbia jacket because I knew we were gonna be in the rain, and every sound person will tell you buy either both. Buy a nice jacket. That's like if you're gonna go and do outdoor recording, you need a nice jacket.
I did a feature.
I don't think I have a photo of the harness. I was gonna say you saw the harness.
I did.
That was like the
You
best
did
thing
show
I ever
me
bought.
I think I was recording something.
Yeah, no, I was going to record with someone, and you caught me when I was walking.
Yeah, I shot a feature, and we just got real unlucky with the weather. Because we even tried to shoot it in like 2 different seasons, but it was like close to winter both times. Or like, it was the coldest I've ever been. It was -20. I remember using the red camera to like warm my hands, but it was so hardcore planning of like basically playing that I was going on a ski trip, even though we weren't skiing. Because
I'll never forget this one guy had a short film, and we filmed it over like a whole year, and it was up in the one concrete company up in like Penn Hills or something like that. This guy used to have a mansion up there, the guy who owned it, and it burned down, and we filmed in it. So we walked into this building. It is completely charred. Top it all off, I'm driving in, and it's an old like site where this is where the plant was too. And they had like an abandoned office building in it that we used to. But the drive in had like these manholes that like legit, they were like 30 feet deep, these circles. And the guy was
Death
like,
for you.
yeah, so like coming in, we had people like helping us through, right? And then we ended up filming until 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm leaving. The guy's like, the attendant that we had to leave. So he's like, careful driving out. So I had to drive out full of all my gear, and had to like avoid these manhole covers, and to the point where like this one guy was like, seriously, you will that total your car completely total, and
you'll die,
and you'll die. But this night too, this was the one time my truck was in a movie. It was literally it carried a 10K. If you're familiar with what a 10K is, let me find it.
Is that light?
It's a light.
It's a light.
It's the biggest of lights.
It's a light.
Hold on. Talk about tech while I'm finding this
That's
photo.
I can get the quick story. I was strapped down to a truck, like just with a couple straps. Like it wasn't gonna help. You know what I mean? Shooting a movie, and we had 2 lights. They weren't 10Ks, but I think they were like maybe 500, whatever. I don't know. Maybe a little more than that.
Big.
Maybe it was 1Ks. I forget. There, you know what? There were 1Ks. 2 1Ks hooked up to me, and I'm recording Kurt Wooten in a truck in front of me.
Oh, shout out.
Shout out. Let's try a little plug there. And like looking back on it, we weren't driving that fast, but plus we did tell the local police that we were using that road, so we did have a little bit shut off there.
You knew.
But at the same time, like those straps weren't keeping me up.
No.
You know, I was getting tossed out. If a deer came in front, you know.
I'll never find this photo.
Like
It's
I
so
was
sad.
gone.
Moral of the story, though, my truck made it, and it didn't get an IMDb credit.
That's sad, man.
Yeah.
That's not fair. No one gets the IMDb. Do people look that stuff up anymore?
I weirdly looked myself up recently, and I had an IMDb credit. And it's actually, for the one short film. And then, weirdly enough, I let these students from Point Park use my gear once, and they actually correctly filled out
They
their
did
stuff.
it right.
And
It's
did it.
because they were nerds, hardcore nerds. If you do it right, it gets up there.
I didn't get paid for it at all, and I did not work on the set. And this Point Park film has an IMDb. I was like, to all these people who have paid me thousands of dollars before, they don't even have IMDb credits for their
It's
stuff.
because it's just like awards. It's not real. It's all fake. You know, if you really,
It's Facebook for movies.
You could walk out here. We could shoot something on the phone. If you pay the right thing, go through the right application, I can get you live with Dustin and Tyler
So is it-
outside the Gateway.
Talking about that, is it important? So, because the Bo Burnham special, he shot it on a
that's
mirrorless,
what we
right?
wanted to talk about. Yes.
Do you think it's extremely important that you have to get one of those cameras? Is that like just for the option of maybe one day packaging something for Netflix?
What camera did he use exactly?
He used the step above Ryan's camera, like the Lumix one.
It was a Lumix.
It was a Lumix.
Okay, I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's the step above the
I
GH5.
mean, it's all about where your delivery is going to be. I mean, obviously, he knew that was for Netflix. So Netflix has like 3 options. It's like film.
There's
a
like
red.
there's 2 mirrorlesses.
There's
on
a
it.
red and there's 2 mirrorlesses.
Yeah, and I believe they're both Panasonic.
Yeah. So I'm sure he talked to someone. Now I know it does say he produced, he edited the whole thing, but if you do watch the credits, he did have a colorist.
Oh yeah,
And I think he had more
there's
than
noise
just a
in
colorist.
some of his footage too, but like Ryan and I were talking about it, the push-ins. He shot in a mirrorless that was nice enough to be able to do that 4K, and even with compression, it looks great.
I mean, I've done that for years. I remember in my old, silly videos, they said, "What do you export as?" Such digital. This is such nerdy spec stuff. But like, everyone's shooting in 1080. I'm still exporting in 720 because I know I want to do these little digital effects. I know I have and most of the time everyone's watching it on their phones, and that's the difference. Is where are people going to watch? That's the question you're gonna think. It's like obviously for Bo Burnham, you're watching it at home, probably on your bigger TV. So you kind of need to be shooting in more than 4K, maybe because all these
it looked
effects.
really good though. Like,
it looks great.
It made me. The second when I found out the camera he used, I looked it up. I was like, how much is this camera? And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to get something a little below it.
Now, I could talk gear forever, and I'm honestly starting to think, I think I told you this thing before, you were talking about different cameras, and I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to really buy anything other than maybe a Sony, a Canon, and maybe, was that Blackmagic cameras again? Just because I don't want to have to learn.
No, I think I'm going to get the Fuji.
Style.
I think I'm going to get a Fuji, personally.
What about these new cameras coming out? Now, maybe Sony or Fuji or whatever will adopt this technology, but there's those cameras that you don't even have to get focus.
So that's weirdly enough the one thing that this article I was reading is not great about the Fuji. Is like it, because they said like the autofocus in that Sony is insane.
Well, yeah.
So it's not better than that. But
not just autofocus. No different than how RAW shoots.
Yeah.
Like all the different exposures. Like it shoots all the different focus points, so you don't have to get it. The camera's not finding focus. You're getting all the data and you're deciding later. So say you want, like me and you were obviously, it would be like this.
Yeah.
And say in editing, you want to make this in focus, but then later you change your mind, you want this in focus. You could do that. That's all technology is out there. Obviously, incredibly expensive. You can't.
I didn't
use
even
it.
know about the balancing of like when you use an off-market lens on a like when you use an off-market lens on a Sony or on a Fuji, like they have that software that you counterbalance.
I know.
Yeah, I'm like learning. Like I didn't know anything.
What's
about
what you were saying before about balancing stuff at Channel 11 is like, oh, then you got our people with the Ronin. It does.
If we get sued, we've
how
both
we
said
get
it.
sued?
They better. We're free promotion.
It's
we haven't said anything.
It's just where you worked. I also worked at a company that was a TV channel that's around here that I'm not allowed to comment on Facebook anymore, and it bugs me because every once in a while,
because they've
I'm like,
changed the name of that thing like 20 times.
No, I physically cannot go to this channel's Facebook page
So
and make a comment. I don't know what I said. I was probably working there and maybe was like I didn't say anything inappropriate, but it was probably like, let's just get rid of him now in case he does say something appropriate in the future.
The company's just so local. I don't even know.
It's not a big deal. It's just funny to talk about. I wrote down live mic checks. What were we talking about that?
Because people get so annoyed that they give me short answers on mic checks now.
Oh, right.
I guess my content's stale. I'm like an old comedian. I always ask people what they had for breakfast, and there was like black coffee or nothing, and that's the most. I've come to this thing. I've probably asked like 100 people this year, at least, and I'd probably say more than half of them don't eat breakfast, and I don't either. So I don't know why I asked people this question, and I always just have coffee, and it's always black coffee or coffee with a little bit of cream and sugar.
I think you're onto something, by the way. Which now I am, by the way, going through that. I'm gonna ask them, what did you have for breakfast? Because a jumping point's a jumping point. Say they didn't have breakfast. So there's your next thing. The whole point is to get them comfortable. I don't know why I'm yelling at you all of a sudden.
I don't know. No, people give one answer things, though. That's the thing. Is like they literally take it like I'm asking them a question, and like they're not interested.
I know.
They'll be like, "Oh, here's the answer."
Exactly.
Like, no,
see, and that
check.
There's your evolution. That's because I used to do the same thing. I used to say something to the mic. I used to tell them to do the alphabet or count to 10, and that's the worst thing because they're not going to give you good.
No, because they act obnoxious when they do it.
And that too, they seem annoying.
They're like 1, 2. Yeah, see, I clipped. There you go. Yeah. That's how it works. They do that, and like instead, if you ask them a question, they'll just be like how we are, and they'll be like, "Yeah, man, I had a cup of coffee, and yeah, that's pretty much it." And then I get the room tone, and then I'm trying to find this middle ground of
what you got to do is
not an aggressive voice, but also like enough content for me to actually grasp a mic check.
Yeah, you got to get them into you warm them up into either a else. I've been doing to you the whole time here. Talk about themselves.
That's fine.
I can sit here and tell you about me all the time, but you got to break that wall with that person.
I can't.
But once you hit it, that person will be like, and you got all day to fix your audio.
Yeah, I agree, and that I recently didn't. I sit in on a lot of my podcasts that I produce, and people like want me on them, and I never want to be on them, and they was like, you help like guide the conversation and stuff, and it's like
you're so great, Tyler.
No, I'm not. I just like to talk to people, and I know what stale audio sounds. I know people aren't going to pay you to listen to this or enjoy listening to this.
You see, I think I do have a problem if the person I'm talking to doesn't have a quick enough answer.
Yeah.
Or two, I can tell they're going to have a one sentence, and then I'll just like cut them off.
I'd rather them talk nonsense than give one-word answers.
Yeah, me too.
That was all Trib Live Radio was. I will say that company's name.
That is true, but you know what? There is a lot of that, and you'll see it a lot on. It's mostly on Facebook. A lot of nonsense podcasts. A lot of like, what's the word? Like, it's very positive, but there's nothing to be said. It's just like you gotta think good, man.
They're secretly all selling stuff, though. That's another thing.
Or themselves. You're right. They're secretly all selling stuff, or sometimes they're not really selling anything. They're just selling the pause that they're making stuff, and it sounds good because they got a good dialect. And
I listen to do you listen to the Daily Quote?
No.
It's a good little 2-minute podcast, and it just gives you like a quote, and then they break it down. But I think it's hilarious. It's like super uplifting. It's inspirational. It's beautiful. And in the middle of this 2-minute episode, they toss to a ad about Nutro dog food. Every episode. Every episode. It breaks away from everything. They literally say this like inspirational quote, and then she'll be like, and we'll be right back to break down that quote and how it affects you in your day. And then she'll be like, your dog needs it.
It's like Domatex. Next time, everyone needs a Domatex. Domatex will live longer. We used to advertise for humans and realize if for humans, no one buy it. But vitamins for dogs, it's totally good for you to buy.
We're going to clip once or twice in this podcast.
That's totally fine because later...
We'll mix it out.
Actually, you won't. Like, me and you hear it, but this is down.
See?
This is
smart
down.
tech. Smart tech, baby.
Welcome to Smart House.
Smart House. No, and I love Dak Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert, but he tosses to ads all the time. Like, he'll just be like, they just start playing the music. You're like, oh, here we go. And he's like, and we're sponsored by. And he does it every time. It's like, and I get it.
Is
like,
it just him or him and his wife?
No, he does it with this. Her name is Monica. She's great.
He's married to that
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I know.
They made a joke on Jimmy Kimmel that like Monica moved in during quarantine so they could continue to do the podcast.
That's funny.
And he was like, he said it's like a what's it called, marriage, but without the sex.
So just a marriage then.
Yeah, he's like no sex, no love either.
No love.
She left too because he broke something and like cut his hand open, and she got COVID. And Monica was like, "Yeah, I'm out. We're not recording anymore."
Oh my goodness, it's kind of awful actually.
Yeah, because they have 2 kids too. But great podcast if you have never listened to it. I just recently got into it because of the Prince Harry episode. It was actually really good.
Prince, are they ripping on him or?
No, he was a tremendous interview. He was the best interview.
Oh
ever.
wait, no, Prince Harry.
He was
on
the podcast. Yeah, and he talked about everything, man.
He's a podcaster now. Is that what
he's everywhere now?
That's what he does now.
Well, he has that show at Oprah now.
I know. I'm sorry.
He talks about mental health. I like it. I like that aspect.
Family man. You want to talk about? We can get into that.
Oh, he talks about that though, and like,
of course he does.
His mom, like the stuff with his mom, and like he said, people would always be like, "Are you all right?" And like, no, I'm not. Like, fuck.
It's like this is what thing about him is that he's this is really off, but like obviously everything he's saying and doing is honest, but he's still like a reality star's kid. Like you like
it's crazy though that he didn't choose that.
I know. So
he's not like
right.
a reality star. Like they aim for that. They're going for that.
But obviously he is though. I mean,
no, and he can't do anything about it now.
But to say he can't do anything about it, I mean, to say he's obviously come to L.A. and this is a plan that they had.
He didn't move to Kansas.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. He didn't come over and like, I'm just gonna be an American boy now.
He didn't even move to Mount Lebanon, Pittsburgh. He moved. He's like, what's a place where I can really blend in?
Where can I really?
What's the most normal place in America? Oh,
yeah,
Los Angeles.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, it's exactly.
His second answer would have been. I don't even know. Miami. He would have been like, yeah, let's move to Miami. It's super normal down there.
Well, this is a bad time. I was going to do this seconds before. We'll just get a quick promo of what we're doing here and what network we're on. So right now, the Smart House is on the OnPoint Podcasting Network.
Yes.
We got a bunch of other shows. We're trying to get new shows. So check us out on Facebook, Instagram. I think we are on Twitter. Just go on the Googles.
They're on Twitter.
Just go on the Googles and search OnPoint Podcasting. This is produced by TheGateway.media, which is also our website, www.thegateway.media. Oh, thank you. Now,
you got to get your radio voice on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get like that.
So
this is how we do that.
We are live at Gateway Towers.
Yes, and that was the next thing. We are live down in the Gateway Towers. You can't get any more in the middle of Pittsburgh than we are right now. We are literally the first
if you walk
building.
Under that bridge, then you can get right into the river.
Just ruining what I'm trying to say here, Tyler.
I'm going to butcher this word.
That's fine. I got out what I got out, and here's a quick switch. So, yeah, you were saying about how people switch to their ads, and there are some people are so good at it. Video-wise, by the way, I watch a show called Corridor Digital. They also have a show called Corridor Crew. Basically, they do a lot of, like, video production behind the scenes, what they're doing, podcasting, CGI and stuff. But they are so great at, like, integrating their ad to be, like, its content and itself. So sometimes right away, you can't even tell it's an ad until like you see sponsored. And I've seen other podcasts do that too. They go right into their ad. They kind of like merge it where you think they're still talking about like their subject. And all of a sudden it's just like, oh, and by the way, you can buy this vitamin. Like, you got me. You got me.
What was it? Did you ever watch the show Atlanta? Childish Gambino show?
I know. I have not really fell into the show now. I've tried to watch it. I know it's good.
It's unreal.
I love Donald Glover.
But he does fake commercials in it.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah, there's like, and they're so well done. They copy commercials and everything. They're great.
See, I've had that idea, and of course that's an easy idea. Have fake commercials because you have to write the commercials.
Well, yeah, and I genuinely think that the companies still pay them for them
Oh, I'm sure they do.
because it's hilarious.
Oh, it's probably well. That's what I was saying too about these ads. I think it used to be that the company that wanted the ad would come to the podcast, radio, whatever content, and they'd be like, "You need to say this exactly."
Yeah.
This and then some. Eventually, it turned around. People were like, "I ain't saying that. I would never say that," and it's come around so far around that I've heard the talent is literally making fun of the brand. And
I think
we
so.
don't care. We don't care. We just need the views, engagement. Rip on us if you want. But it used to be the exact opposite.
I don't listen to him anymore because I think he's a kook. But Joe Rogan is hilarious when he's talking about ads in his stuff. He says, man, this product, it's amazing. It's changed my life a little bit. Like, what are you even doing? Like, are you not using this product? Like, man, this vitamin changed my life. Traeger grills, wood chips. Man, they got an app. They have an app. Like, come on. And then that's the ad.
I'm not gonna lie, it hurts because I do like Rogan, and it hurts it. But they all do it, and it's the same. Hey, you got to make money. Everyone's showing ads.
Oh, that's the only reason they are in business.
Here's the thing. It's funny though. It's like, when you see a good ad and stuff like that, it's the same thing as a bad ad. They're still selling you crap. You know what I
it's
mean?
terrible.
They're just better at making the marketing.
That's why I said like like that daily quote. Like I listen to for inspiration, and it takes it every time. And then the worst part, the consumer in me. I look up the damn dog food. I looked up the dog food. I looked up this company, and I was like, man.
Did you buy it?
No, I didn't. Thank
that
God.
would be funny.
No, I used to fall. Rogan got me 100 times with stuff. Like, shout out, but I mean, I love MeUndies, so he was right about those. But I would never. I looked up a Traeger grill one time. I was like, oh, he's definitely getting 10% of every sale.
Oh yeah, 100%, probably more than that.
You can scroll with an app.
I used to find it so. No, obviously now he's on Spotify, and I used to.
That's so Dax Shepard's moving to Spotify too now.
Well, they're trying to get that.
So no, they got a whole network now. Yeah.
But I used to watch a lot of clips when YouTube used to just throw up the jarry clips. But when I used to listen to on whatever podcast app it was, the first 20 minutes was ads.
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
what it used to be.
And I just couldn't I'm like, you listen to Rogan. I'm like, I honestly, I know you can just hit the forward button, but I'm over it. So I would literally, I stopped listening to Rogan for a while until they start putting the clips on YouTube.
I stopped listening to him when he started going. We went one more step, and I was like, God damn.
He steps.
Come on, Joe.
It's talk about lean. You got to lean in.
He started saying that stuff about masks, and I was like, oh, here we go.
It's
I was like, what happened to the good old interviews, Rogan? What happened to them?
It's like the InfoWars guys.
Oh my God.
He went on this weird run where it was like, is it bullshit? Is it crazy? Or is it just like the edge conspiracy stuff? And then it was like, all right, some of this is a lot BS. And then it was like, oh my God, it's so BS.
It's so BS.
But what I think as a performer, what he realized was he was trying to play this game where I can't lie too much because then no one's gonna listen.
Yeah.
But then he actually started lying a lot,
and he doesn't care.
And because the viewers kicked up, so the opposite thing.
It's like
happened.
wrestling.
Yes, it's exactly.
It reminds me of Raw back in the day,
dude. That's how I explain politics to people.
It's wrestling. It looks like everybody watched Vince McMahon's writing in the 90s.
But it is. Donald Trump is a WWE Hall of Famer.
It's ridiculous.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
But smart tech with them though, their company's insane.
Could you imagine if Dwayne Johnson actually does run for president?
Have you watched his show, Young Rock?
Which one? No, I've not watched it.
It was great. He made fun of that about him.
Oh, really?
The whole show is a flashback of his life while he's running for president.
Didn't he do this show already with Chris Rock? Didn't we have
Everybody
a show?
Hates Chris.
Yes, it was called Everybody Hates Chris.
It's a tremendous show. I have Peacock Plus right now. I've been watching it.
One of the top actors, comedians. It's tough to make bad stuff. I think when you get that kind of
new season of Rick and Morty too.
I don't think I fully watched season 4 yet.
Neither have I. That's why I haven't.
So
watched
I
it.
haven't. I didn't want to watch because I heard the episode 1 is on YouTube. If you want to watch it, season 5.
I have Hulu, so they put it up. But
I got Hulu too. See, we can talk about this stuff forever.
I think streaming sites are crazy, and I bought an Apple 4K TV thing, like the little box.
Oh,
it's the coolest little thing, man. Talking about tech. That thing is
go.
awesome.
Let's talk about that.
You can throw your phone up, and then it has its own apps. It has its own storage, and it's 4K. It's higher than my PlayStation, resolution-wise. And I love it.
See, now that's...
But it does freak out a lot. Like, and it looks like it's having, like, it will, like, send flashing monitors, and you're like, ah.
Oh, I hate that. I get
Yeah.
that. So, like, this is one of the reasons I did this podcast. And the story is I have so many things hooked up. Something like I have a lot of Chromecasts because Chromecast you can like hook to everything. Yeah. Then I have all the Nest stuff. And I have all the
so
cameras.
You have a smart house.
I have a smart house.
You have a smart house.
Like I'll tell that since we've been going for a while. I'll tell the story again. I've almost told it every single time. Was basically the idea is I was I can come down the house and I say good morning or I say hey Google good morning and it turns my thermostat up. It turns the TVs on. It like checks the camera, whatever I want it to do. I have it all programmed. And if it doesn't work, I would like just jokingly start yelling at it. And it's like, Googles, would you knock that off? I just wanted to see the light so I could grab an iron out of the fridge. You got the TVs on and you got the radios on. I just want one's light. That's how my life is.
He sounds like every drunken Yinzer I've ever heard.
My Yinzer is not perfect because it's like an hour north.
It's like a
Yinzer.
Ford City. It's Ford City Yinzer. It's fine.
Redneck Yinzer.
Redneck Yinzer. No, so you asked me for a story about smart tech, and so my dad, before he passed, like probably like in like September, we bought him an Amazon Alexa. I set it up for him. Then my mom was like, my parents live in a split level in Baldwin.
Okay.
So it's super stupid that Pittsburgh has, if you're not familiar, you walk in the door, you can either go down the steps, you can go up the steps. That's it. You go up or down. And so my dad had a chairlift, but like still like he was old, 80s, had one leg. He didn't want to have to always go to the steps to like get down to the door to let somebody in. Mm-hmm. So we bought him a smart lock. Like this thing like on an app, I can unlock their front door. We set it up with Alexa. Because you could then go, hey, Alexa, unlock the front door. And then, like, it was cool. Like, they made you put a passcode to it. So, like, my dad, like, couldn't be, like, held. And, like, he would have to say a passcode, too. It was, I thought of everything, right? This consisted of my dad every time just getting into an argument with Alexa about unlocking the damn door. Like, I swear to God, I would sit there because I would pick him up and take him to doctor's appointments. And I would just leave my key in the car and just, like, leave the car on because I didn't care. If someone steals it, good insurance. That's what we have insurance. And I would walk to the door, and I would hear him say, Alexa, open the front door. And she'd be, front door is locked. And he'd be like, yeah, Alexa, open the front door. And they'd go at this for like 5 minutes to the point where it finally unlocked, and then I'd get in. And he would figure it out, but it was the funniest conversation.
It's so sad because it's literally, I picture this happening in the future. Because it's just going to be software and built on software. And, even some of the stuff I've had for a long time, it'll work great. And there's updates every day. I don't know what they're doing in behind the scenes. Something will change. And next thing you go, you have an elderly man locked out of his house where it's like negative 20 degrees. Dude, I know that's an awful thing to think about.
My fiance made me watch a documentary. Like, this was like 2013. I had it on Nat Geo. And it was called The Blackout. Okay. And it was about, like, if someone hacked our grid. This was in 2013. I don't know what director thought this was going to happen, but this is probably going to happen now because they keep hacking the pipelines and stuff. Yeah.
Pipelines, food.
But so, scary. And it showed this thing. This lady lived in, like, a penthouse, similar probably to the ones upstairs, and the electric card key, like a hotel. When you don't have power, you can't get in. This lady was locked out of her house in a blackout. Didn't have a key. That was her story. Literally started homeless. Like 2 seconds into the movie, it was not doc. It was like a movie doc thing. Mm-hmm. They like had people interviewed and talk about if this happened, and then they had like cinematic
reenactment.
That's the word. And she literally goes, and it just. And I was like thinking like work hard. You wouldn't. I don't have a key. Locked out.
It is okay. That's a perfect example because we're on our second or third app for locking that door, right?
Yeah, this one actually now works pretty well.
All right, so I haven't used it that much, but there has been multiple times.
Shout out to the Academy.
That like you gotta pull up your Wi-Fi. You gotta make sure you're connected to the Wi-Fi correctly. Pull that app, and people have not been in the studio, and I have a shoot, and it's like I can't get in. I can't. You gotta call who's in charge of the building, and it's just awful. And I'm like, can we get the fob back, please?
I used to have. Like Buzzy freaking get me from up to because he lives close.
Yeah,
his would actually catch.
You had Buzzy. See, that's what I'm saying. So I try to picture in the future of how things are going to be, and I always think of Tokyo, Japan, which I really want to travel to someday because it's considered the city of the future. They really have a lot of things. I don't know
it's
if
like
they
the cleanest city.
Yeah, it's that too. It's so when you go to Canada, but I don't know if they have any type of universal income I always picture like the cities are going to have some type of universal income first, and they're going to be smart cities, and everyone's not going to necessarily have a job, or they'll be a designer.
Yeah, or like an operator of some sort.
Right, they're going to be an operator,
and they will help this thing ride. Like
right,
go.
Right, or everything. I think everyone's kind of like it's almost like how the world is now, where it's like you're kind of renting pieces of what you own to like, so everyone's kind of running the city at the same time. So like if one person fails at their job, almost the whole city might collapse.
I mean, I think that I talk about Port Authority and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if we had a better transit system, it'd be less congested, and like it'd be like a system like that. If we could all convince everyone to take the bus,
I know
traffic would be different. But if you made it more like, so you didn't have to wait 30 minutes to take the bus or something, right?
That's like traffic is supposedly a thing that's a human thing. Like if there was enough data where everyone just followed the laws perfectly, like no one ever sped. Everyone was always at the right. Like there would be no such thing as like people kind of like get in traffic jams. They would be gone.
Yeah, it's just like you notice like in like Tokyo and like New York and like Chicago, these places that run on like trains and like Port Authority. Yeah, there's systems. Like it's like a system like you're explaining. Like there's all these things and all these people are all partaking in it, so it's smoother for everybody else.
And supposedly Tokyo is ahead of the game with this. Of course, they have the speed trains and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm also picturing further in the future where maybe you don't really have, your life doesn't really revolve necessarily like in your room. Like you have a place to sleep, you have a place to work, to go to the I guess use the bathroom facilities, you get a place to eat, but it's not necessarily like that's your house. It's going to be like, okay, you sleep in this little place. Have you ever seen in
those like
in
little
Japan,
hotels?
They're like really small hotels,
It
like
just
the size
has a
of a
bed.
bedroom.
It has a bed and a TV. That's it.
Right.
And then they like have like locker rooms for bathrooms.
Yeah, it's basically a locker room, and then you kind of get up, and then you go whatever the next thing you want. The next thing you want to do is lounge into like watch TV. There will be just that, but when you're not
every
using
videographer that
it,
travels to Tokyo stays in one of these places.
Exactly,
I've seen it on YouTube. Like,
but my vision is like the algorithm will be perfect. Shouldn't say perfect because that's utopia. But it will think of a sense like that. So if everyone's using everything, there won't be as much waste because when I'm not using the bed, someone else is using the bed. When I'm not
so
using
you're
the
explaining
living room,
basically like what Musk said about Teslas. Have you known?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I've
so
read
like
and listened
he
to
said
that.
like your car sits in a parking lot for 8 hours. If you're parked down here right now, your car is sitting in, not collecting any money, just honestly taking up space and resource from the city.
Exactly, yeah.
What if your car, while you were working, could work for you? Like, what if it was like an Uber where your Tesla rode people around to work and stuff, and then came and picked you up at the end of the day? Other than the fact that people being disgusting in my car.
Yeah.
It better also sanitize itself.
So I talked about this with my last guest, and in my mind, this is probably awful. Like everything can be fixable. I just keep picturing, I'm like, oh yeah, well 5 years will fix that. Like I know in Europe there are bathrooms that if you go use the restroom and when you come out, they're like spinning and stuff. They cleanse itself. So once you're done using the restroom, I think they actually charge money. So if you're just walking in public somewhere in Europe and you're like, I go to the bathroom.
In France.
It might be like in France or something
France
like that.
France is crazily ahead of everybody right now.
Yeah, you drop a $5, you do your business, you get out, and it cleans it. So I'm just picturing all these cars, sort of like that. There's also, they had to get through a lot, I know it's all this stuff, they had to get through a lot of regulations to have to start designing cars without steering whils. And I think
Have you seen that Mercedes?
Is it a Mercedes?
There's this, I watched this video, the concept's done. They have it like driving around. It sits like this, and the steering wheel is like right here in the middle of us, and it's a ball. And you put your hand on it, and you like turn it like this, and it's crazy.
Oh, because it could go like anywhere?
It's a 360, yeah.
That's wild.
And the wheels of this Mercedes can go turn. Your wheels can turn so you can go sideways.
Oh, I think I've seen it because
so you can like go this way instead of just going
there's
this way.
There's a motor. There's 4 motors.
Yeah,
each
it
wheel has a
stupidly
motor.
was like designed kind of like Avatar, James Cameron. So it has like this infinity screen thing and like has this like it's nuts.
That's awesome.
It's stupid.
But I think these things.
I think the Tesla idea is at least cooler. I think that makes more sense just because, I mean, parking down here, for instance, it's ridiculous.
Already an issue.
It's ridiculous.
It's
That's
a conversation.
what I mean.
Every time I have someone come, I basically say, "Listen, I'll just pay for you to park here. Otherwise, have fun figuring it out."
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There are lots. That would be false to say that there's no lots, but they're hard to get to. They're all in like some of them are literally if you're like 6'5", you're gonna hit your head in. And also, like, your car, they're so expensive.
They're expensive, but you know what? You made a good point where I feel like people would maybe take in the costs if they weren't so, what's the word? Aggressive is not the word I want to use per se, but
Nice.
if you are a younger person and you're not used to driving through the city, or you're just like intermediate in driving through and parking and stuff, it's like you're like, do I want to pull in there? What's can I get out? How much do I pay up front? Do I pay in the end? Wait, why is there not a QR code that I can scan right now that can park my car?
If you park in a slot in the city of Pittsburgh, you pay like $25 an hour to park in the equivalent of a storm closet. Swear to God, I swear. And if you get road parking, that's clutch. But like out here, I always walk around here because I'll take the T, and I see a car get hit every day that's parked on this stretch right
and
here.
you know, it's a lot different now because I used to cheat. I would park around this. I know I'm doing this.
That little lot.
I mean, saying this, like
y'all
everyone
know what
can
we're
see
talking
where
about
we're at.
over there.
It's Liberty and Commonwealth in Pittsburgh. So right down, if you're looking at a map on Google, you know, it's right there in Commonwealth, right at the very end, the what's that?
We're at
the
the point.
Thank you.
We're at the point.
This is why it's called OnPoint Podcasting.
It's on the point. He's so original.
I know. Hey, this is marketing 101. This is how you get
Marketing
people to know.
101.
But anyways, what am I saying? Anyways, there used to be a lot more parking spots, and old Billy, you know, he loves those bike lanes, and so we have a bike lane.
Don't diss my boy.
I just called him
He was
Billy.
cool.
I didn't say anything
He definitely
mean
messed up.
just
Nah,
'cause
he
I
wasn't.
called
He's
him
not my
Billy.
boy. He definitely fudged up this last.
So now there's no parking there, and actually, my way today, someone almost hit somebody where they turned right onto Commonwealth. To be honest, the bike wasn't really in the way. The guy took maybe a little too much offense.
No,
to
that's what I mean. That's always the driver messes.
Yeah. Well, the driver was kind of wrong, but the bike guy got real upset. So the driver kind of gets in front, and the bike kind of slows down, and the bike could have just kept going. Nope. The bike gets right up and smacks the guy in the back of the car. And then the car stops. So now it's worse because the car would have kept going and rest of traffic would have moved on. Nope. Now there's a little altercation I got to wait through to get turned right. Now, we both had good smart city stories.
I was gonna say,
That's funny.
I will never willingly park down here though.
Yeah.
I if I don't have to bring gear, like that's when I said, like, do I need to bring anything to you? I'll take the bus or the T.
You know what? That's really kind of
Cost me $2 to get here.
Like, because I need my Jeep, and my Jeep's full of gear right now. Because my thought is always like, I got emergency gear in my Jeep. So no
That's
matter
how you get
what
emergencyly robbed.
Yeah,
Snatched.
That is true. To be honest, it's a lot of like grip work, like
Okay.
not like I don't leave cameras and stuff in there.
I would be mad if I have the same
I shouldn't
C-stand
be
as
telling
you.
everybody this is
Yeah.
not good live stuff. Go rob me. No, it's hit. I'm in a garage right now. Screw you guys.
He drives a
No.
Volkswagen Bug.
Yep, that's it. I
It
love
fits
it.
all the gear.
Love it. Yellow, it's my favorite.
Some guy, while I was loading my Chevy Trax, which is fine because I didn't drive here and it has nothing in it, but the guy was like, I think you need a bigger car. I was like, you think?
Yeah.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah, I've definitely been in that sense. You start loading gear up, where I was like, I'm done. I'm overloading.
I'm buying a
gear
van.
all the time. Are you serious?
I want a van so bad. I want a van for work, and then I also want to condition it so that I can take my gear out when I'm not working, and like my table. I want to build like a table on wheels, just so I can, like, if I have to solder a cable or like fix something real quick, but then like I want it to be on wheels so I can take it out and then it be like conditioned for me to like camp in it too.
It's got the TV smart van.
Mr. TV smart van.
Mr. TV smart van. We can do whatever you want in here.
And
That
then
doesn't
I'm
sound
gonna
good,
build a
does it?
trailer with a bathroom in it.
Dude,
I'm gonna hit the road.
I'm all about this.
This is my $1 million idea. So if
Now,
you steal it, I'm coming straight
when
for
you
you.
get in the van, is it going to be cool like a FBI, under
No.
like you can sit down in
Our
a
friend,
chair
we're
in a
not
control
we're not really
room?
friends with them.
You hear that, everyone, whoever Tyler's about to
But
talk about,
this
he
van,
is not your friend.
This van, well, I mean, we're not very close. But this van, they like log their entire build on Instagram, like cedar wood in the inside, and it's beautiful. And it's like Nomadland, but beautiful. Have you watched Nomadland?
Not yet, but I know I've seen.
Some people's vans were so dingy. It's just like I get it. It makes more sense than living in some of the apartments I've seen in this city. I would rather live in a van. But then places like in Pittsburgh, you'd get flagged for living in a van. You have to go live in like Ford City. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, stay out of
I was
Ford
trying to
City,
do a
that's
tiny
awesome.
house in Pittsburgh, and they make you buy connections. Why would I buy connections if I wanted it off the grid? Why would I? You can't be off the grid in the city, though. Because they think that, like, because, I mean, it makes sense. I get it. But
Well, Texas. My father's house, yes, we used to be able to have our own well, and at some point they changed the rule where you had to you had to be plugged into the water. Or
Doug,
whatever.
it'd be fine if the connections weren't $30,000.
I know.
If it was like $5,000 to $10,000, it'd be different.
Man, that's a good point of being off the grid, on the grid kind of thing. Back to Elon Musk, the one point of having the car is also you have the battery in your house, and then you also get the solar.
You're powering
on
your
the
stuff.
on the roof. Yeah, and then you have a constant ecosystem of
that
powering
new
everything.
F-150, the Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
They marketed it like one of their commercials. They had a contractor plug in his gear to the battery and power his power tools while building the house.
I've seen that.
And the point is because he had no power around.
I mean, I would love one day just to be. Cause it is so. This whole thing I'm talking about is the problem with it is you have bills forever.
You have bills for everything too.
Everything. Your whole life is like this capitalist transaction for everything. And my example, I remember one time when I was really broke, and I was struggling, and this weird thing, I used this app called Evernote. Now I'm exaggerating on the story a little bit because I'm thinking how it would go, but I used this app called Evernote, and to get certain features and to save certain features, there was a premium service. And it was automatically taken out of my phone or out of my bank account. And when I didn't have any money, it closed. So literally, there was a point in time where I couldn't even write, because that was my main way. Now I could write. I could find a piece of paper, but I was like, oh my God, I'm so broke. I can't write. So in this freaky future, I'm saying amazing city. It's well, if you have bad couple weeks of being your operator, oh my God, you can't leave your little bed. You can't leave your bed.
I mean, I pay. Bridget gets a student discount, so she pays it. But the Adobe subscription, subscriptions scare me. Pro Tools does that, and it's you not gonna be able to access your work? I don't know. I don't pay for it for that reason.
It's all right. I mean, we got a lot of our we have to shoot so much footage, and right now we don't have a drive big enough in the last couple of projects, which is fine. It's on the cloud, but it's on the cloud.
It's crazy.
So.
Crazy.
One day we don't pay the bill a couple times. Maybe Google's really because now they're a little yeah, you can get your data. It's cool, but it used to be completely free.
We're making it make millions.
It used to be completely free. I actually have on my old company. I have a business Google Drive. It's free because I was grandfathered in.
What?
I know. Which I want it, but you can't use it. If you open up a new one, you have to pay. But my old one's Now I think now they're starting to pull their features off it a little bit. But it was free, and I was infinite storage. Infinite cloud storage for free.
It's ridiculous. It's like people that bought Bitcoin. Y'all are so lucky. Early.
Hey, man, it's early. It's still early. It's on sale right now. You want to talk about Bitcoin for 20 minutes?
I've been crypto
Do you have somewhere to go?
No, but I made decent on Doge, and then I lost.
So you didn't sell when Elon went up to SNL?
No, it dropped. It bottomed out when he went on SNL. It was the worst thing that happened to Dogecoin.
This week.
It's going back up, though. It's up to 25 cents right now.
It was down to 17 cents.
Yeah. I bought in at 3.
I bought in at 27.
I bought in so early.
Yeah, I also bought in early on Bitcoin too. But man, I thought about, I don't know why. I guess everyone knows hindsight's 2020. But I was well, he'll go on SNL. People will be oh, look, it's flying. A bunch of idiots will buy in. The stock will go off. And I'll sell right around when, those kids are watching on. Nope. The smart people just started selling beforehand. And I was
no. And then, weirdly enough, there was a point where, probably a week before he went on SNL, it was the highest it ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was 47 cents.
It's crazy. But now also Bitcoin, because of China.
I almost fainted when I saw my return. And then I heard some other guy who was on this podcast. He told me how much he made on Doge, and I was like, "Oh, my money seems next to nothing." I was a couple $100 was happy for me. Because I like to gamble, but I don't gamble like that.
Well, I mean, I didn't feel like I was gambling as much.
That's gambling.
A little bit, but I was trying to hedge my bets, so I in a sense.
The damn crypto is named after a Shiba Inu, and the people who invented it never thought it would actually be a trade.
Well, it was a joke on purpose because it was understanding the market and being well, it's not. And this is also just for stocks.
Mark Cuban says that him and his son, he started forcing his kid to take some of his allowance and buy Doge to see volatility in crypto and stuff.
But also, they're called whales, by the way. If you hear they're whales. Yeah. So with this kind of it's so see, I can't pronounce words when I start talking about stocks. You can just do what you want because if you have so much money, it's what the hedge funds did.
It's what the rich people do.
AMC. They were let's just take all our money, and we'll just buy puts, which is basically gambling that the stock's going down, and it is. That makes it go up. Then more people are like, oh my God, AMC's going up. We're gonna.
The GameStop
And then all
thing
of a
was
sudden
the
they're like,
stupidest thing
but then we
ever.
did the opposite. AMC is like, no, let's just double down, triple down, and buy even more, so they don't hit their puts. And now it's this crazy game where it's like you can't even get the value of these companies. That's why they're called meme stocks. Because it doesn't matter how much you made or how many people you employed or what your ideas are. It's just get that Reddit nice and wild up, and you can make some money.
Name me the last time you went into a GameStop.
It's been a couple years, but it was just to buy like a toy for my kid. You know,
I bought a friggin' puzzle last time I was in. I didn't even buy a game for $1.
there's still one up in Fort City, Catania. It's still over there.
It's just that with Amazon,
Blockbuster close. Foot Locker close. I could probably name a couple other things. I think it was Ames. Had Kmart. What else used to be up there? Like that GameStop is still there, and I don't know how that company really is making money. How are they making money? Is they just really gambling themselves?
Stocks, bro.
They're in on this somehow.
I think they are too. I think they're the people on Reddit. I think they're the Reddit bros.
They 100% might be.
I think that and I think I got into stocks because of Elon Musk, and I'm not even the biggest fan of him. I just was like, oh, this is interesting.
I've always been into that.
And
kind
crypto
of thing.
like got me kind of. And Bitcoin I was late on, but all my friends you remember when people sounded crazy when they tell you about Bitcoin like 5 years ago?
Oh yeah, real
I
wild.
used to have this dude who would give me conversations for like at least an hour about Bitcoin, and then we'd leave and be like, man, he's crazy.
Well, if you do try to learn how it works, it is very in depth, and obviously you can't just teach us. It's like, okay, I'll watch this again, tomorrow or next week because I haven't taken it all in. And then you start to get an understanding of like, okay, the whole like why it's decentralized and why people would like to use it because basically
it's just listing more and more coin all the time.
Yeah, so it's basically a whole other economy. I mean, that's why China's like saying we don't like that because we can't control that, so we're going to stop
They hate
all the mining.
They hate it.
But I thought of this yesterday.
I think it's funny that I've heard someone brought up something that what it does to the environment about it, and I was like,
oh, that's crazy.
I was like, oh my God.
Well,
we're talking about Bitcoin
if
mining.
I would have to fill this whole room with like 50 computers, you got to think of the energy that would take.
Oh, I'm just saying, like in the world of like what someone like the Chinese government does pollution-wise.
Oh, it's probably like to compare to how we
times.
used to like just destroy the jungles in Africa and just tear down everything. It's probably worse.
There's this study that
It's
I
probably
can
worse.
quote this, and I did read this article fully. They said that they've proven that 90% of climate change and like global warming is not caused by like us. Like it is corporate. It is corporations, and they said like companies like obviously Exxon, what's the one other one? Shell, and a couple other ones. And then they even listed the banks. There's only 6 banks that fund most of that 90%.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the rest, like people think that it's us, and it's not.
Yeah, it's
corporate.
It's you and your straws. It's you
Yeah,
and your
that's what I'm
plastic
saying.
straws, and you need to knock that off, Tyler.
And like
I don't
I'm not
appreciate it.
saying like the Starbucks isn't a huge proponent of giving a ton of plastics to the environment. But,
No, I am 100% with you. Like it does.
but it's just crazy to be like, oh, so like that's what they meant when like people like Al Gore were like, yeah, but it needs to be the corporations that change too, right?
yeah, it's not just everyone virtual singling like, oh, I know my carbon footprint. Do you know your carbon footprint? And then drinks their.
You make
stuff.
$100,000 a year.
Yeah,
Your carbon
it's like-
footprint is nothing.
It's like nothing. It's nothing. Even some individual people that maybe should change their habits and stuff like that. It's like it doesn't matter. It's not gonna. Entire countries need to change.
It's literally like U.S. Steel or like
yeah. So and even
Like,
when
go
they
drive
say
in
they're
Braddock.
gonna do stuff, it's like, are they? Maybe. I don't know. It's all about money. Like they'll figure out how to get something off the moon. We're gonna blow up that moon or tear it to pieces. There's something in there
we're gonna
need.
destroy Mars. That's what's
Oh,
gonna
that's
happen.
happening. But I don't think anyone cares, right? Until we figure out who lives there, and then people are like, hey.
Americans or something.
Here is my way. Now, do you know how Bitcoin works? Have you researched any?
Hell
of
no,
that?
I just throw my money at
You just throw okay, so you don't even know why it might.
I
actually
get it
be
a little
currency.
bit. I get it, but a little bit.
So
I would
I
be
read a
lying if I
million
said a
different,
lot.
and also the reasons why Bitcoin might not be the best crypto because there's other algorithms and software that run
Yeah.
faster and better.
Yes.
So like
yeah.
So to your point to how much energy it uses, there's actually things like I want to say lithium, but that's not right. There's another. I forget There's the other popular Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin. There's Doge. and-
Earthium.
Yes, that's
I have
the one.
Earthium as well.
And one reason is for that is because the company Nadiva, which is the graphics card company.
Yeah.
There has been, well, also this is also chips, but there's a chip shortage, and there actually been a shortage of the cards they want because they sell those cards for mostly for gaming.
Yeah.
But now companies are buying them for Bitcoin mining.
Yes.
And what they did was they actually made a special graphic card that mines Ethereum, right? That's what you said. Earthium.
Yeah.
It just
and then
mines
there's like
that one.
3 Earthium stocks.
Right.
There's like
classic,
yeah.
the new, and like so.
The one almost hit 4,000 is the main one, and then it went down like till it's hit 2,000 today or something like that.
It's so.
I lost.
But
$50
what
right off the bat on that one.
What I'm getting to is, one, put money into that company.
Yes.
Which I think is a good idea. And 2, Bitcoin might not be number 1, but it's something. It's something out here. But here's a real quick
Nvidia, though, I wish I would have bought that stock when the pandemic started. They were like a Zoom. They went through the roof.
I know. I should have. That one should have been more obvious because they were just in.
They make everything.
Everything.
If it's not an Apple computer, they make.
Yeah.
Well, Apple though made their own chip though.
Yeah, they got the M1.
To sacrifice for this shortage.
But this is how I think about real quick how Bitcoin works or how crypto money is supposed to work and why it's decentralized. It's way more than this, but it's the simplest way I could put it. So imagine everybody being in a group chat on iMessage, okay, and imagine that a message from in that chat, which would just present it me to you, but a bunch of people are in it. For that transition, for that message to be authenticated or correct, that we know it's good, everyone in that chat has to see that message. So when you see that little thing that says red?
Yeah.
So the transaction doesn't go through until everyone in that group has read that message. That's very similar to how
Bitcoin.
like crypto works, where there's a ledger and the transactions on that ledger, and then when everyone sees that it's the right, that's how it's okay. That's not fake, or we all agree
this is real.
We all agree that Dustin's given Tyler $5. It's way more advanced than that, but that is really like kind of how you narrow it down.
We should make a nice graphic video.
I have thought about it, but you know what? That takes lots of time.
There was that one that went like super poppin' about taxes, and it was that guy who like did it with a cardboard piece of paper, and he explained the American tax system.
I've reshared that one so many times.
That's what I mean, and it was so easy to understand that everyone understood it.
I didn't understand it until then. I still have the argument with people. They're like, "Hey, it's 70%. You're going to tax 75% of my taxes?" Like, no, they're brackets. And
sorry,
the funny part is, I know. The funny part is, certain people that we try to explain that,
they don't even hear it.
They don't want to. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it because it destroys their argument.
Someone told me that there should just be like 2 tax brackets, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds like that's going to solve the problem."
Yeah.
No, just explain it better.
I kind of like the idea of universal income in a sense where it's like you just pay here. Now, in a sense that maybe you got to take away some welfare or something, you got to take away some programs, but everyone gets universal income, and you spend that money the way you think you got to spend that money.
Well, Andrew Yang's not going to be the mayor of New York, but that would have been interesting to see if he'd have tried it there.
Have you read about that? Do you know what's going on?
He's been doing
he's
the $1,000 to some people. Though he has been doing his program to people.
Oh, I thought you meant if he's going to win or not.
But did you hear about the system in which they do it? That's smart tech, almost. It's not smart tech actually. It's the opposite of smart tech. I mean, they like are doing.
Dumb tech?
They're doing a system where like each round they'll eliminate candidates. It's like a popular based tiering system.
Right. You know what the difference is what I heard that it's more like charity, right now.
It's like basically like
you pay into like these people because they're picking and choosing who can take the money,
but,
right?
Well, no. Now we're back to the money. I meant like the race, the way they're doing the mayor of New York's race.
We're back to
they're doing. We switched there.
I pushed you. That was so funny. I pushed you to my subject,
and I went to him,
and I went to yours.
So, but the mayor of New York though, they're doing like a system that basically like each round they'll eliminate a candidate, and then that person's candidate. Like whoever gets eliminated, their votes go to like they'll look at me and yours ballot, and whoever our second most like favorite in the primary was, our votes will go to that person.
Right.
And it'll just keep doing it until like they're not gonna figure out who's the mayor of New York until the middle of July.
And also, I don't think they're the only place that does that, but I think
it's new in New York.
What's happening is Yang was campaigning with someone that didn't make any sense to campaign with because of that. Because
he didn't want to get beat by that
you
person.
get like the second, because you get to vote more than one person. It's basically how it works.
You want the most
second.
popular person with you. Most popular.
I'm not sure. I forget how. Like
It's so confusing.
You got to kind of figure out the math, but it basically would sense like, okay, listen, I need you on with me teaming up because I'm not really gonna lose. Like your votes aren't taken away from me, and then you get the advantage of being my number 2.
Moral of the story, though,
not that they're gonna run together. It's
as a person, poll people are gonna do this. They have to then, like when we come to the next round, people will then have to take the ballots back out and look at them again. And like, luckily, it's not a computer because obviously, every crazy conservative would be convinced all the computers would be lying.
I know.
But
you're right.
This is a huge tax of people's time, though. This is like.
But there were primaries.
It's old school.
There was primaries. I know. I swear. I don't know if it was Republican or Democrat, where they had the system where like you kind of pick the top 3, and then it does create these weird things of like people that would campaign together that would never even seem ideologically together. I can't talk sometimes, but seem to have you on the same issue. Yeah, it's super interesting. See, Tyler, we can talk about all kinds. of stuff.
What's our next tech question?
What's our next
tech topic?
We were getting towards the end here. I wanted to talk about TikTok as my
I'm
my
still
favorite,
not on TikTok,
and that's one reason why. Is like I know you are not on TikTok anymore.
I've never been on TikTok.
So here's my question: when you now have to learn something that obviously didn't learn in school or work harder from one of us, and you need to learn something really fast, where do you go?
YouTube or Google.
Google.
I don't.
That's right. You said the right answer first.
But no, I'm saying so I have this conversation with people a lot actually. I don't do the YouTube University though. I don't watch tutorials and stuff.
You do not watch a tutorial person.
I read.
You're like my last guest. This is what she was saying, and she was like, I read. She reads very fast.
I read fast. I speed read.
Okay, so
I don't take in all the information. I wouldn't say that I'm like.
So you're going to Google and you're going to websites and you're.
I think I kind of have a photographic memory.
All right.
Sometimes.
So like, do you know who Larry Jordan is?
The name sounds really.
He's like a famous Final Cut Pro tutorial editor.
I should watch it.
And
I should watch their videos, shouldn't I?
But I don't watch I don't use Final Cut Pro anymore because
it's all about Adobe.
It's all about. They got me on that subscription. By the way, if you guys ever need to use these facilities, we do have Final Cut Pro here because we're not upgrading this computer in the back studio because we need Final Cut Pro on that one particular. So and if you update the computer,
it's a wrap. That's how I lost Pro Tools 10.
Final Cut doesn't work anymore.
I switched from Pro Tools to the free program Reaper because of that.
Hold on. Back to TikTok. I almost said YouTube. So you said YouTube. You threw me off there because you're a tech guy, but that's interesting. So you still have the sense that you probably, when you read, you say you read very fast.
I just don't pay attention to videos.
And you probably skim. You probably don't read every word. You're just
trying
to get to what you want.
I look straight for what I'm looking for.
So I do find that annoying on YouTube was when you do look for a tutorial. And the first thing is like, "Hey guys, thanks for coming to my channel."
So I got this
cool
product
this for a while, and it's like, oh. Google's better at trying to get to that spot. By the way, if you notice, they'll actually send.
That's funny you say this. I recently was trying to. I had to like update my Zoom mixer, and I could not for the life of me remember what buttons you're supposed to hold down on the F8 when you pop the SD card in with the new stuff. So I go on YouTube because I couldn't find it in the manual. And this guy for 2.5 minutes talked about everything about the F8 except turning it on, putting the damn thing in.
Man, I've been through those.
It's like, dude, this video literally was called updating the firmware on F8. Why are you talking about the specs? If you are updating the firmware on an F8, you know the specs. You know the specs. Oh my God. And I finally got to it, and it was like 30 seconds of remaining of the video. And I was like, this whole video is not about that.
Yeah, that upsets me.
Yeah.
So I said two things. Google has
But you have told me about all these tutorials on TikTok and learning off of TikTok.
Yeah, well, so like the difference, like so for YouTube, like what I do, I hit the speed thing, and I watch videos at twice the speed. And I because your mind can take it. Like once you start watching it, you think you can't do it. No, you can totally listen. You take it all in. Your brain's way faster than you think it is. So like I watch a lot just for fun sometimes. I'm like I've never played in Blender or the Epic Unreal Engine. Like let me just figure it out, and I'll watch tutorials at double the speed. Now that's a little bit different than tutorials, but for TikTok, you are missing out.
I'm missing out
on just knowledge. And I'm not just saying tutorials, just like you're going to be slow. Because, like, just how you say YouTube and how people learn stuff, like, I get on TikTok now, and obviously I've been on for a while, and so the algorithms got me.
It's got them, people.
But it is just like it's like stocks, video production, trending news, politics, and it's very good at not giving me crap, and it's very good at not giving me the same thing too much where I get bored of it.
Facebook does that.
And Facebook is the worst. I'm sorry.
I got off Facebook
so
a
bad
while ago.
because of that. Here, I'm gonna do this right now. I know we're jumping around a lot, but I have been. This is the most annoying thing about Facebook, and I can't
see the same 6 people on my timeline all the time.
Can you this just real quick? If you open your Facebook, this is what you see. Literally, if I'm looking at Facebook right now, maybe 8% of it is new content in what I'm physically seeing in my physical space.
Yeah.
And it's just like a thumbnail of 2 people's stories. The rest is just garbage. It's just half of what I'm going to next. Me. I don't need to see me. I know what I look like. And then other stories, and there's all this stuff for rooms. No one cares about any of that. If I go to TikTok, seconds, content. That's what needs to happen. And I'm so over it.
Instagram stole TikTok's thing.
But
they have a Discover like that now. It looks exactly like TikTok. It's crazy.
But I know I went off on a side rant because you brought up Facebook, and I hate it's so frustrating.
You've heard my idea about my TikTok channel, and I'm gonna maybe do it. But
let me finish this thought real thick, and then we can get to more stupid stuff. But what I'm trying to say is it's just like of knowledge. If you ever see the Star Trek episode, Star Trek movie, it's newer one, but it's young Spock, and he's in like this thing, and he's just watching videos at high speed, and he's just taking in knowledge.
Young Spock.
Young Spock. And so that's what I feel like, and I get a lot. There's this one guy, all he does is Adobe Premiere tips, and 90% I know him. I know most of them. He hasn't got me really on one or two. I don't, but I love it because it's kind of refreshing. It's like, oh yeah, that tool.
That's how it works.
Stocks are this week. Oh yeah, something, someone said this in politics, and it's just like I feel like eventually you're gonna be behind. That was my whole spiel.
I could get on it.
So that's the deal. And it's but
I
knowing
didn't get
all
on
that
it because all the little kids that were on it. I just
Exactly.
I thought I was aged out of it.
But that's what everyone said when YouTube first came around too.
Yeah, but
I
I
get
was
all
that
those
little
kids.
kid. I was that little kid when YouTube came
Exactly.
out.
You're that little kid, so it was okay. I mean,
I didn't even start using YouTube probably until my 20s, though. I really didn't like it as an app. I used it because I used it as like a music source, and that was the most annoying thing is when you had to close the video, it turned everything off.
That's really funny.
That's how and that's why Pandora and Spotify got so popular at that time.
Yeah.
Because I would say if YouTube would have came out with a Spotify-like streaming service before that, they would be Spotify.
Now, since we're a decade apart.
We are.
I guess you didn't go through the whole Napster thing. You probably missed out on that, right?
No, I was a LimeWire person.
Okay, so you caught the end of.
I destroyed 3 computers, at least 3, with just LimeWire. None of the other stuff that would have destroyed it. But
that's really funny. So
that's a funny smart tech thing is when you had to talk to your parents about crashing a computer at like 9, and you're like, yeah, the computer just doesn't work.
I broke. I mean, that's why I didn't think I know about computers. I broke so many things.
You just got to clean the cookies.
You just don't.
That's what every fake computer tech will tell you what to do with a bad computer.
Clear the cache, man.
If you clear the cache, it's gonna work.
But it does most of the time. Many times. That's why I love being a tech guy. Like for a while there with my parents, I used to really enjoy going over to boomers' houses and stuff and being that guy. Or like, Dustin, can you figure this out? And literally, it's red to red, yellow to yellow, and it's like, oh my god!
My dad
input select. He's a genius.
Which is crazy because like when my dad got all those things, he got like a Chromebook, he got an iPhone, an Alexa, and that lock thing, and a Ring, all at like one time. And he was born in 1940, and he like got it more than my mom. And I was like, this guy like literally didn't have television until.
He's like time traveling.
Yeah,
that's
it was
literally
nuts.
like a time
and
traveler.
I was convinced like when he passed, I said that at his funeral. I said I will say he was not losing his mind because I explained to him how to use an iPhone quicker than I explained to use to people all the time.
That's my biggest fear, Tyler, because dealing with people that just like I said, can't plug in, hit the input select button on TVs.
Oh my God,
that's a difficult one for me to get past. And now. And this is how I jump from like all these, new software, new apps. Like there is no such thing really as TikTok to my mom. Maybe I'm exaggerating it, but there's really no such thing. Everything's Facebook.
Oh yeah,
The
it's like
phone
how
to
everything's
Facebook, everything's
everything's Coca-Cola.
Every,
It's a
yeah,
Coke.
yeah, and that's just such a. I remember that one. Like, no one asks for a Pepsi. You're like, it's Coke. It's Coke.
So you guys got Coke, and they're like, well, we have Pepsi, and they're like, oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
and
That's what I was asking for.
Yeah. They'll just give
That's
it
what
to
I was
you.
asking for. Don't worry about it.
But with TikTok, to get back to TikTok, where I think it is the number one app. The world doesn't understand it, just like you're kind of saying, oh, it's not for me. Those are just where girls are putting in their thirst traps, and I think it's going to be this divide.
No, I literally thought it was
people.
just for dancing.
It's already happened. I see people talk about it when they're like, they don't get it, or some people like you just like you're at meetings and there's an age difference, and you're trying to explain how like, hey, to sell this product, we got to get it out to people. We got to sell tickets to do that. We got to do some Facebook things, and then they're done.
You see, I am 27, but I act 39.
No.
So.
But I feel like
like I'm 50.
It's gonna get worse because now the younger generation are on TikTok, and it's just of information and knowledge, and there's gonna be this other generation who's basically turned everything off.
I went to a thing, and
it's
these first graders were premiering an app. I filmed this. They literally designed this app with their teacher's help, but this kid's app, he literally walked up, it was a freaking squirrel flossing. That's what he made. But he made it.
But he made it. That's the whole point.
And it literally had a thing that if your webcam, it would put the filter on you. And I was like, this kid is in first grade. First grade. And I mean, they had like a whole computer system. I get it. Like, they were taught it.
But still.
But like,
those
do
jobs
you understand what I was playing Pokemon cards when I was in first grade.
I remember how long. There was a tutorial.
I can never say that word.
And it was a video co-pilot. And that was with, hey, it's Andrew Kramer here.
Hey, it's Andrew Kramer.
And that's not. You've ever seen Andrew Kramer?
I have.
The whole point is how it does his intro. It's very. Anyways, so I was watching this thing and I changed my face to a demon face, and with the whole rah, my eyes got big. Took me days to track my eyes and do this whole thing, and now to see I can do it in seconds with also green screening my back. Or no, I don't even have to green screen anymore. Any background I want, put me in our place, edit the whole thing in an app in like minutes. That used to take me days. People would charge $100 an hour for that stuff.
I'm at this new thing, though, that everyone in the world, specifically that is older, no offense, will use the stupid Zoom green screen, like, black background feature thing where it, like, cuts around their head and stuff like that. And, like, so you can put a logo in and stuff, but they don't have a green screen, so it's just basically nonsense aliasing behind them. And then it's burned into the recording. So then they send it to you, and they're like, yeah, so we're like, make this up. Like, we'll film an intro, and then we'll cut to the Skype interview. Or I called it Skype. Cut to the Zoom interview. And then you get to the Zoom interview, and you're like, oh, why did you record that with that background? Why would you do that? Like, a white clear wall looks so much better.
They think they're helping.
Yeah. And, like, then they have this. They move like this, and then all of a sudden it's literally nothing. And I sometimes think that those little features and stuff they add on to things are worse off. Like, we get worse off when stuff like that happens.
And that's so true because it's already, your exact story has already happened on the news. Yeah. Like, there's been guys, there's guys doing funny, screwed up things, but you're right. It looks awful. And it
looks terrible.
Your bookshelf is fine. Like, it's
You know the worst part, too? If you correctly just bought a green screen, it would look better. But that's the point is they think, when people get stuff given to them like that, like a feature like that, they think they don't have to go the extra step. They don't have to get a green screen.
That goes into even more.
They don't care.
The next thing is what I'm seeing is, and this is because I'm in this business, is people that want to go on the news and stuff actually are figuring this out to make themselves look better. That either one, they're getting a real green screen, or they are making their rooms look nicer. They're putting
clean.
lights. No, they're putting like a backlight and everything. And especially networks like MSNBC who take way more guests through their computers.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm a producer and I have one guest that has this great background, he's bought his own mic that he's connected to his laptop, and when he comes on, he sounds great, very great. Or I have this other person, maybe he's a little more prestigious, has like better degrees and maybe can talk more about the subject, but the other guy kind of looks better and he's kind of more fun. I might go with the younger guy because it's all about money anyways and getting people to view. I think it's going to I've already seen that happen, to be honest.
I wish I bought stock in Apple before the pandemic.
That's where you got to put the money, by the way.
But them damn AirPods, man. The pandemic was unbelievable for the sale of AirPods. That's all I learned through Skype Skype again. Zoom interviews.
But the Skype is they use that.
Whatever you use, FaceTime, Zoom, Google
Microsoft Meeting,
or Teams, yeah.
Teams, yeah.
But seriously, like even on like the Tonight Show, everyone has AirPods in, and I get it. They're the perfect like
they
IFB
nice.
monitor for your ear.
The wire doesn't look as nice.
But so many people use them as the mic too, and it's like, man. They must be killer. I don't have a pair.
There's a level, I believe, and this is the argument I've had with coworkers, where it's like, and even myself, where I've done, where it's like, I can make stuff look so good. You know, I craft the lighting, you do the shoot everything in RAW. We're gonna mix that audio. Go ahead, say your joke.
No one wants it.
No one cares.
No one cares.
No one cares. No one cares. Stop shooting in log. No one cares.
No one cares.
No.
You seriously could do anything.
It's like you're focused on. No one really cares. They're gonna see it once on your phone.
I realized that about focus.
Yeah.
Like I think that comes from my news world of like zooming all the way into your pore, locking focus, and then coming out, and like it's super crispy.
It is.
But no one cares.
But and for broadcast
like YouTube
cameras
stuff,
to do that. Now to be honest, Rob did that for our tech guy, our chief technician. When we were sitting here, he zoomed the whole way in, focused on the eyes.
Lock it up, baby.
Now there's different cameras and stuff like that. You know, with the autofocus, no one's doing that kind of thing. But it is funny. It's like maybe I shouldn't put so much hard. You're moving like 5-10%.
Dude, I'll do like a 2-hour, 3-hour edit on a podcast just because like I want it to sound like a graphic or like a novel. I want this thing to sound like an audiobook.
Yeah, and you feel better about it.
But legit, they're talking about friggin' alcohol and
tacos,
the
and
clubs,
right?
And nothing, absolutely no. Not that we're saying anything of more substance.
No, we're not.
But
no one's watching right now. I'm talking to this because hopefully I'm going to run an ad later, and someone will be like, "Okay, that part's kind of interesting." You know.
Hey, you comp it all together, make some magic, baby.
Yeah, that's how it goes. But you're right, and also the funny thing is if you wouldn't do that, the person listening would be like, "That sounds really great. You did a really great job." Compared if you would have spent 6 more hours, they still would have said, "You did a really great job. That sounds great."
So I've started like trying to like not be as critical on things.
There's an expectation that you gotta hit, and when you go over it, you feel better about it. Maybe your product is a little bit better about it, but you
spend so much more time.
You're starting to hinder your money making abilities because now you're doing something that you probably could be spending other money, and it's not the client or the end user is not noticing. So.
I feel that way about audio. Audio is like that in general. I'm not. I mean, you can make an album in your freaking bedroom.
Yeah,
man. I don't care
I know. Yeah. Oh, you want to talk about Bo for a while too?
No, I just mean like there's that and like what Billie Eilish and like Phineas did. Like, I mean, I knew the mastering engineer that mastered that album. It did go to a nice studio that won all to get it to Grammy ready, but it still was made in their small bedroom in Los Angeles.
You're right. Now there is that thing where it seems like for regular stuff you hit that threshold, but if you're going to the big screen or you're trying to, it's like But you've done that work and now you're going back in again. And like, okay, now we're gonna dial in that
those
extra
songs
10%.
Are perfect.
Yeah. I mean, have you ever seen tutorials? Have you ever seen Billy's brother like go over like what he does?
I actually have watched some of his videos.
It's crazy.
He's nuts.
I didn't even know you could do some of that
Him
stuff. How you like at the very end of like the last sound of your voice, just turn that part down a little bit. I'm like, what? Why?
He just does things that are pretty. It would be crazy to say they're easy. He has ideas that I've never thought of to do, and it's crazy. Like I went through that kind of traditional training of schooling, and Phineas his music's good, but I mean his sister's really good. So
it sounds like we should do a production podcast. Maybe we should.
Yeah,
we should. We should do it for a work hard thing. I had 2 ideas. We can do a production podcast. We'll name it. I don't know what we should name it.
I think we should do a troubleshooting.
Troubleshooting. Podcast. I like that. I swear, Tyler, we had this idea. I had such deja vu where I said the same things, and then you said troubleshooting, and I was like, that's a podcast. But another podcast would be a little more controversial.
It'll be fixed in a second.
I want to call it the No Offense Boomers podcast, where every conversation is like, No offense, Boomer. But then you kind of talk about ageism.
What did Bo say? Bo was like, I was I
rough.
always made fun of Boomers, maybe a little bit too
Maybe a little bit too much.
These freaking Zoomers are telling me I'm out of touch.
Right, but then he just gets right back on the Zoomers, which is funny. So the whole point is, I'm right, everyone else is wrong, no matter where we go.
If you haven't watched it, regardless of how you feel about them, it's unreal. It is so good.
This is what I have a problem. I am extremely biased. I have been obsessed with this dude for a very long time, and I don't have a lot of people follow me on Facebook anymore, but if anyone is out there that has ever followed me on Facebook, I post Bo stuff all the time. I've been posting Bo stuff for years, and my background is making vlogs on YouTube when it first came on, and he's one of the first people I saw on YouTube. So when he started playing songs in his attic, in his wherever his room his was, I was like, this is hilarious. You can do this. You're telling me that I can just be funny and weird and like make a career.
Yeah,
and
he
so
really
like,
did.
it just and then for him to kind of go away for 5 years and then to come on and put this thing on Netflix. And it's more than gold. Like I listen to a lot of music. I'm obsessed with music. My Spotify,
I like the song.
Spotify. I wake up every morning. My brain has that, and these songs aren't very complex. It's not like Run the Jewels or Fall Out Boy, where these lyrics are just so weird. Like there's like 5 minutes of him saying the same 5 words. Like I can't. Every morning I'm like Jeffrey Bezos. Every morning I'm doing that, or whatever song it is. What is it? What did he do to me?
CEO Triple born in 1964.
What's the other song that it's
All Eyes on Me, man?
Oh, that's the one that's really
that's
in
a
my
bop. He made an absolute classic.
That the one that he talks about, yeah, All Eyes on Me. That's the one I was
put your
thinking
hands
about.
up and then put your hands down. Pray for me.
That's the one I wake up to. I wake up to in the morning, or I'm just
I like what's the one? Look Who's Inside It Again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wake up to those songs. And
the one reminds me of when we were like in like elementary school, and they would have those people come in with the socks and like the sock thing.
Well, that was how I meant to do
it's
it.
so
that
great.
That was great. I listened to that one too. But the other ones are ones I seem to wake up to, because my favorite one before that was the Kanye West Pringles one. I used
actually
to play that all the time. He's just so crazy.
But the best thing that's on it to me is the thing that's not on Spotify, which is the I'm just here to help brands be more aware.
That's my favorite
of creating, like, is your brand aware, but while also creating more brand awareness.
Like, I want to know, who are you, Bagel Bites? Like, when he said that, I think I fell out of my couch.
Oh, my God. No, it is crazy. It made me, as a person who is very liberal, it made me, like, look at some of the stuff and be like, yeah, it is maybe a little.
Here's something.
They're being corporate monsters.
Here's
so you need
something
to realize.
that one reason that like people like Bo, and like you said, liberal. Bo is more progressive. Liberal, liberal is not the word I think to put on Bo. He's almost in a sense. I wouldn't say libertarian. That's probably not Bo.
No.
But man, there is a moderate thing in there that's like the anti-corporate, anti-big government thing where like he really has. He's broad. Like he does not have like a far left.
No,
I think he's
so.
very broad, and I think that's obviously one of his amazing traits. To
but the
come out here and do that.
tech that he used in that video the videos is crazy.
Oh, that's crazy.
I just thought about how I spent my quarantine, and it was nowhere near. Freaking talking to y'all over Zoom in my freaking bedroom.
I know. I wish what was really cool for me is the video. I mean, to see him like have to put all that together. And to do all because I'm picturing the testing, even the testing I have to do.
He showed you that little bit in the
work.
beginning, and
yeah, I thought that was so cool.
Well, so I mentioned it to Bridget. I said, so he shows some of the footage of when he's testing, and it's probably like a month. I'm sure he grows facial hair very quickly, but you can see that like the long-haired Bo is what you get for all the performances, but when he's setting up, he's still short-haired Bo.
Yeah,
and then you can tell he probably spent like 3 months on testing. To me,
100%. He had to have. To do all those, I mean, literally, I said doing this stuff, but looking at the lights and knowing the type of gear he had, you had to do it forever. And obviously, he did take many takes. Now, there is some jokes in there where I believe it's the Goodbye song where he sits down and he's kind of shaved and he's wearing a black shirt. And the whole point is like, it looks like he's preparing to do the last song as a take. And I think he even says, oh, this is my first take. In seconds, it fades to him in a full beard where he's done 6 other takes. So he says, this is my first take.
He's
and then
lying.
Obviously you've done 20
He's
takes.
lying.
He's lying. And that's a point.
I think the
that's
ending's
a
the
big
best point, too.
It's a big point where it's like making that kind of thing where it's like, I'm
It's-
saying this thing, but I'm also doing the thing I'm telling you not to do at the same time.
It's just genius that he was like, I'm going to rent a studio for one day. I'm going to film this end scene where I walk out and I'm going to mess with every person's mind. And be like, is it real? Did I make this in quarantine? Or did I sit in a room and I make it? Wow. I was in a
That's a
studio.
good question. When he's outside the room.
So he walks, it's definitely a studio.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I didn't think that you personally could edit footage enough to, like, how it blacked out everything around the front door. I was like, I don't think that's a filter. I think that's that looked like a soundstage
All
to me.
right. I'm going to blow your mind. I also, first thing I thought, what the heck? He's in a studio.
Soundstage.
He's in a studio or soundstage. But if you look at the room, you look at the door and look at the window and stuff, it all seems
Oh, no, I'm not talking inside. I'm talking the outside
I know.
scene. Yeah.
It matches up. The very last scene
Yeah.
matches up. But all he did was take his spotlight that he has in all the other shots,
Yeah.
and he just put that outside, and it's just an exposure thing. So
You just messed with it.
yeah, so you expose for the spotlight. Now everything else is dark. Also, if you're shooting in RAW and you have a colorist,
I hope he does a
'cause
TED Talk one
he
day or
hired a
something.
colorist.
Yeah.
I'm sure he will. I mean, he
I
does.
just
He does a
explain
lot
it.
of. He does a lot of interviews.
Yeah, I just want to hear how
I
he
bet he
thought
will.
of it. I think it's gonna be the killer. It's gonna be he'll sell out so fast when he's gonna take it on tour. It's for certain.
I mean, I've been thinking about that. How's he gonna take it on tour? I hope he has like. What I really wish. There's a couple songs, and this is also his genius. For some of them, I'm like, I want them to keep going. I want more of that song. Like even the intern song, and they're really short.
Oh,
And
because
I
it was
want
a
him
joke.
to go on tour. Yeah, because it's part of the joke.
Yeah.
You're right. But I want him. If he goes on tour, I hope he has like 3-minute versions of those songs. Because oh my God, what I see.
It was
him
so depressing though. I wouldn't want to perform that stuff all the time.
So you're right, and that's also it's like got the Heath Ledger problem where you like kind of dive into what you're really good at.
Do
and
you
it makes
really want to
worse.
like keep doing it? That's
like
not-
you really want to keep doing it, but at the same time, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's so good he really doesn't give a shit.
I guarantee if he does do it at a tour, he'll sell out like what is it? What's the arena called now? Consult PVG.
Yeah.
He'll sell out PVG.
He's gonna. It's gonna. I think he has some other ideas. I mean, he made a movie right before he like
Eighth grade, yeah.
he made.
I haven't
that,
watched it yet.
That was perceived pretty well, and actually, I just started finding some clips of that Zach Stone show. It probably wouldn't make light of day now, just because he's a little aggressive in it. And but have you seen any of this?
Some of his
Zach
jokes
Stone?
don't age well though. I'll tell you that.
No, but it still comes from a place where if it's like the way he characterizes it, where it's not, it doesn't. I never feel like when he does some of this stuff that like they're like maybe that was a bad idea, where it's like him being angry and he's like, I'm saying this 'cause I feel that way, but he talks about being self-aware is not an excuse.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
so it's like that was the excuse, and now he's opposed to. It's like okay, well, like you can't delete his
But
life.
he's like
or any other
he
anybody else.
reminds me of a rapper in the aspect.
He's always reminded me of a rapper because he is a rapper.
He can say
He is a
really
rapper.
insulting stuff, but we overlook it through technical ability.
I always felt
like
that
you're
he's a
like these
rapper.
beats are dope, or this is so well put together.
One of his very first videos on YouTube, that's the joke. He
Yeah.
sits down, he's real nerdy, he's like 14, 15, whatever it is, and he has a guitar. He's like, and he says like, hey, I'm going to start rapping because seems like they can say whatever they want. And he's like, I'm Bo, yo, and he starts saying about getting
Oh,
bitches
I just
and
listened
stuff
to
on,
Bo, yo.
and it's just like, and there might be a couple of different versions. I think there's a version.
It's on Spotify.
And like that, so it's the joke is on itself. It's like hey, I noticed that rap people seem to get away with anything. So here's a rap song of me getting away with everything. Yeah.
So back to the camera.
Back to the camera with his
If
camera.
you were right now gonna buy a mirrorless camera, I'm asking for a friend, myself. What one would you buy? Would you go for the Sony?
I would go for like I said.
Even though that
before,
Sony's about to be outdated,
Well, then mine's fine. Then I'd buy another of mine.
like the one you have.
Like
You have
I
the
come from a
A7 III,
different-
right?
I come from a different way of thinking about cameras now, where I'm not buying the best camera out there, because in my sense of projects wise, I'm gonna hire the best camera guy out there. So that guy's gonna buy whatever camera he thinks is correct. So the way I think is I try to be the most compatible now. Where the problem, if I go and buy the best camera out there, well, great, maybe I'm not buying another Sony. Now I have something and a Sony. Well, that's awful to be in post-production with. I want two of the exact same cameras. So if I go on set or I'm going to go on at work, it's like I can put a camera here, put a camera here, and I don't have to mess with it in post. Like the joke I made earlier, like, yeah, I like shooting a raw is great, man. You get so much stuff, but man, after a while, it's like I don't want to color. I don't have time to color. I want this to look the same now, and later I'm gonna have to worry about it. So that's how I think about it.
I just color the footage and I copy and paste it.
So it's kind of like if you already have a camera now, you kind of want to get a camera that works with that camera, or you say screw, you make the leap and you get red.
Yeah.
You get a red. And I've always said if I have infinity money, it's a red or an Ari. You know, that's what
you
I'm
get the
getting.
Ari.
Yeah,
You get the Ari.
Yeah. Why is it?
I just see it on every set I've ever worked on that are big.
So I mean, yeah, I'd probably get an Ari because you get everything. You
I'm
get
between
the
the A7 III though.
stops.
I'm between the A7 III and the Fuji TX4 or whatever XT4, and I can't decide.
There's something better than the A7 III is what I have, I think.
Oh, I know. I can't afford anything past it.
It's like, what about the A7S III? Isn't that the
well,
best
that's
one
the
out
one.
there?
The A7S is the newest one. That's the one that Matt has.
Yeah, but there was some advantages.
But it's not
to
as
that.
it's a better video camera than stills
That's what
camera.
it was. That's the difference. You're right.
But
and
I need a stills too.
And that was another reason why I got this Sony, because I told myself, I was like, oh, most of the times I'm having people shoot for me. And
yeah, I just mean like
it'd
you
be nice if I could grab some stills while my camera, and that's what I kind of was like.
It's
well,
back to the YouTube thing that you said, or like to the phone thing. Like we shoot stuff that's for consumable like people, and like if you're doing like productions, you're probably gonna always shoot on a big camera.
If you are at a point where like you're making some money and you're making a movie every single year, maybe you could own your own red.
Yeah,
you know, maybe you buy your own.
But
red.
I would even say it is much more logical to just rent it and rent the lenses, and like you'll be out the door for.
Yeah, it's way better renting.
I've never worked on a set and we're like we own that camera.
And the best thing, and really how with the gig economy, it really is to rent a friend. You know, buy, like we were talking about Chris Bell.
Hire local.
We were talking about Chris Bell. It's like instead of renting your gear out, it's like just hire. I almost called you Larry. I don't know why. I was like, who the heck is Larry?
That's funny. I've never met my real dad, but my real dad's name is Larry.
You know what popped in? All these production names come up in my head. There's that Still 2D guy, Larry Lane guy. He popped. See, I'm just throwing names out because I want people to say nice things.
Hey,
about me.
hello.
I was thinking Larry Lane, and that's why it popped out at me. But anyways, yeah. So it's kind of like in that mind sense. Years ago, I'd always been like, "What's the greatest and best? Give me whatever you got. Let's figure that out." And I'll figure that out before, because I love the color. I spent a lot of time when I used to vlog, and I obviously couldn't shoot in RAW, but I would shoot in log, and really try to figure out like how I can make my background a completely different color and exposure than my front, where my talent was, just completely in post-production without affecting it at all.
Wasting your time.
It was a lot, but it was
fun.
It was fun. That's how I met all my friends and stuff, and people like Ali Spagnola, who always say, your vlogs look so good. Ali Spagnola, the woman who was given 1 Bitcoin to draw like a turtle once, like 10 years ago.
It's a damn profitable turtle. Though.
Yep, and she made like at least 50 grand off that. If she still has it, she might have made 60. I don't know. I should ask her if she sold. I need to get a hold of her. Allie, if you're watching this, you're not watching this. We're already an hour and a...
Yeah, you ain't watching.
Dude, we've been here for 2 hours?
This is Joe Rogan.
Oh, my God. This is the Joe Rogan. Welcome to the Dustin Darling experience. Holy crap.
What's your middle name?
Dustin Bruce. I can't...
DRD podcast experience.
It's Bruce, so DBD.
Yeah, this is too long.
This is the Dustin Bruce. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up then.
Dude, funny thing about this movie, this short film.
You want to talk about the short film?
No, we don't have to talk about it. I will tell you before I forget.
It, yeah.
One time, we made this in 2016. First day. First ever boom gig I ever had. My boom fell out of my car while I was packing my stuff. I get to Newcastle. As you know, I live by work hard, so I live over here. I had no boom pole. So I get to the set. I got everything, microphones, everything, wireless, everything. To the point where I go to the grips. I say, yo, this is my first ever gig. And my boom pole literally fell out the truck. They gave me a C-stand. I took the long arm of the C-stand, like the boom arm, took it off the C-stand, and I boomed an entire set. An entire day with a C-stand arm.
Oh my God, I've boomed all day with like crappy boomsticks, knowing the difference of like a super professional boomstick and like a low grade one, the difference.
And that's what and this audio is that gold.
And you said this is the best you've ever had. Now,
best.
The mixer was probably very kind to you.
This guy out of LA, he's nuts. He's nuts.
He knew what he was doing.
No, but
obviously you got into the good enough where he was able to tweak it.
I mean, anyone can do anything.
Yeah.
I've seen
Anyone can do anything.
Anyone can do anything with put their mind to it. But it was a great time. Mike Gasway, he was actually the guy who created Jimmy Neutron. Weird plug. He decided he wanted to make a short horror film post Jimmy Neutron.
Just looking at this, I mean, I'm
It was
seeing
shot
some
on
good
red,
framing.
though.
It's
Yeah, it
got
was
some.
shot on red.
Okay. I was gonna say it's some moody lighting there. It's a
Let's
good
be
shot.
honest. I didn't have a boom pole while everyone was shooting on things like red. So
Yeah, I know.
That's
So
how my day went on this.
You were that guy. Usually, no one talks to the audio guy because they're so quiet. They just want to talk to you.
I was
because you were
20,
just pulling
fresh,
out
maybe freshly 23, maybe.
24s. You know, I found something. I heard this was a thing that call them 24s because they shoot in 24. They charge $24 an hour, and you can get a turnaround in 24 hours with 24s.
Psychopath.
That's producers of the early 2000s. That's how you could you do that.
Well,
but we're past that, right?
say goodbye to everybody.
Say goodbye to everybody. Are you like telling me to say goodbye so we end the podcast? Is that what you mean? Or?
I mean, my coffee is outside the studio, so.
I just can't believe we've been going for so long.
Oh, that's what happens when I'm on a podcast.
Well, good. I've really enjoyed this talk with you, Tyler. I feel like we maybe had little ADD issues there, but we kept bringing each other back. I love how we switched there. That was my favorite part.
That's wild.
That was really funny.
I love that this film is playing behind us. That's in the pre-monitor.
It was though when we were starting talking.
That's funny. No,
that is the whole point. And so I think I said this before, and maybe I'll use this part for something. Is I consider this a beta podcast, and that is because I'm really trying to showcase and figure out all we can do here. I had a guest once, Zoom. He was not sitting here, but I configured it to make it look like he was sitting here.
Who are you, Oprah?
Yeah,
have you seen Oprah's show? No, that's something I don't want. We should have talked about that. Have you seen that show that she has on Apple Plus TV?
No, but I've seen
Dude, this interview, every interview, they're never in the same room, but they do it at a stage, and they make it look. I mean, it looks like this person is in the room with Oprah. It is crazy.
Is it a coronavirus thing? Is that why they started doing that?
Yeah, and it's just so she can interview anyone. I think.
So she can interview anyone.
But it's crazy.
I've seen
to the point where there's like motion behind. Like it's definitely footage. It's not even like green screen.
That all.
Yeah.
They've really figured it out.
It's nuts.
So I mean, all we did was my buddy. He's just in front of a green screen, and then I just bring that as an asset in and put it here, and so it looked like we were having. And I said, listen, just put your monitor to the side, not in front of you. And now, when you look at the monitor, you're looking at me.
There you go.
And you really couldn't tell. I had some other issues that day that I fixed now, but that's one really cool thing we can do. And like I said, this is a lot of awesome things we can do here. These are actually new. We use to hold mics, like very sad, poor people.
I just adjust it because I have anxiety, and I just touch it all the time.
Anyways, Tyler, once again, thank you for coming. Do you have a Twitter or anything?
At Mr. TV 412.
Oh.
I actually recently LLC'd and trademarked that. So if you see at Mr. TV 412, you call me. Because I'm coming.
He's suing.
I'm suing for anything. Who knows what I do? If you come on a T-shirt, I'll find a way to sue you.
Anyways, you guys can find me most places at The Beardy Boy. And we're part of the OnPoint Podcasting Network. The show is Smart House, and the production company is TheGateway.media, which can be found at www.TheGateway.media.
Let me ask you this, though. If you ever shave your
end
beard,
so good
I know,
right there.
but I just got to ask.
What?
If you ever shave your beard, will you change your handle?
That would be weird. I never shaved the beard. I guess I would have to. But
I had to ask.
But no. All right, guys. Thank you for coming and watching, and we'll talk to y'all later.